to a show and not.
Hey everybody, welcome to this SCN GM's panel that is what we're calling it. We're gonna do this for the next about hour and a half. We're starting a little bit later than we planned, but what's coming after this is just kind of like loosely. We're gonna mess around creating a character in 6th edition and then have a hangout hour before the end of the stream. So it's a kind of loose stuff here for the end. But what we did want to do is create an opportunity for us to get some people together, GMs on the network, to talk about just GMing, experience GMing in their shows, challenges with that, the things that they do on their shows, what it's like running games online across, some people across the world apart from each other, and with the network in general. So I'm gonna do my best to think on my toes and moderate this group of people who love to talk.
Good luck.
I've had exactly I think 1 or 1.5 hours of sleep. So I'm sure I will lose this battle. Yeah, let's get started and let's quickly go around and get everybody so we can all be on the same page. Let's get everybody to just not. I'm gonna go back around and ask you guys to talk about your shows. So let's just start by going around and introducing yourself and what show you do, and then we'll go back around and eventually talk about what those shows are. And I'm gonna just start right here to my right. And say and start with Erica, who I'm not ever on any shows with, so I would like to start with her. So yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Erica. I play on the Game of Thrones show that we have called Sea of Spears, and before that, I GM'd a game on our channel that was for Starfinder, and so yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And then over there is Cassie and Max.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Cassie,
I'm Max.
and we GM a lot of shit.
Yep. And on the Shadowcasters Network, we GM our homebrew campaign setting called the Shattered Isles.
Boom.
Boom.
Done. We'll keep going around the table, and so we'll go down and say hi to Rusty. What's up, Rusty?
Hello. Today, I am wearing my normal weekend garb anytime Felicia's not home. It just happens to be a casual cosplay of Robert of the House Bro Rathian, Protector of the Seven Kingdoms, Lord of the Andals, the First Men, etc., etc., etc. Because here on the Shadowcasters Network, I GM A Song of Ice and Fire.
Awesome.
And it was either this or my Lady Olenna Tyrell nightgown. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
I love your Olenna.
And then Oz, tell everybody who you are.
Everybody, I'm Oz. I GM Join the Anarchy, the interactive and improvised Shadowrun Anarchy campaign that I guess really kind of first Shadowcasters Network show. And I'm also now concurrently running The Sprawl here also on Shadowcasters Network.
Hold on, you said so. You said your show was the first what? You cut out for a second.
It was the first RPG show here on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
The very first ever.
I thought you were.
The first Twitch show ever, Bobby. How would you not know that?
Yeah, that's quite. I
Read
thought you were
book,
saying
Bobby.
that you were. Anyway, so that's great. And then Opti. Hey Opti, what's up?
Howdy, everyone. Opti from the Anarchist podcast, but I think relevantly here, I am the proprietor of the Optiverse, and I also run some Optiverse games using the Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition rule set here on the Shadowcasters.
Green Ronin in the house.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. There's a bunch of very great and talented GMs. I want to also say that one person that we wanted to be here but couldn't was Mara or Scrim from Join the Anarchy. She ran a really cool and unique game on our network for a while, and she really wanted to be here, but the schedules didn't work out. And it was Night Witches, which was
Yes.
which was a really great show, an all-female cast of Cassie. Why don't you tell everybody what that show was? And then
I can speak on behalf of Scrim.
Yeah.
So Night Witches is a game that's published by Bully Pulpit Games. It is a historical RPG based on the actual Night Witches, a Russian bombing unit, all female, that were so infamous to the Germans that they gave them that name. And so Scrim ran that game for us, and I gotta say, on behalf of Scrim and on behalf of female GMs everywhere, she did a fucking fantastic job. So a little bit like of backstory for her specifically. She did a lot of research, and she asked other Cassie, a lot of questions, because Cassie is a really big history buff, especially for that era in particular. And then not only that, but she wanted us to delve into our characters' backstories, even though it was like a 4-episode run. That was all we were gonna do, was like 4 episodes. And she wrote out stories about our characters that she would read at the start of the shows, and it just brought a whole another level of fun for us players, because we had no idea what she was gonna write. She was just like, "Hey, I want to do this for your characters," and I'm like, "Do it!" And I cried.
Oh, no.
I laughed, so she's very talented as a GM. She's very talented as a way to engage her players, and so I would love to be a player of hers again someday. That would be really great.
And she also GM'd for us last year. She did the Court of Shadows 4-shot as well. So yeah, speaking also as a player of Scrim is amazing as a GM, and definitely would love to hers as well.
So one thing that all of your shows have in common is that so RPGs on Twitch and online and actual plays and just streaming RPGs has become really, really big. But a lot of the shows that you see, I don't know what the percentage I would call it, but I know a lot of people just they've got their home games at a table, and they'll set up microphones for everybody, and they'll set up cameras for stuff and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is that they're all there together. But every single one of our shows that we do here, our RPG shows, are all a bunch of people that are all in different places. And I think that, in my experience, that's a really that by itself is a really challenging thing that or constraint on what you guys are doing. And so, Opti, I'd love to hear from you. You've got you almost more than everybody. You've got so many people with Optiverse that you're juggling, and what are talk about, like, how is it? What are some of the things that are so unique and challenging about that?
Well, RPGs are essentially at their heart a community game, an experience, and so for millions of years, community has been actual people sitting across, from each other or being in very close proximity, because there couldn't have been anything else. And so what I've discovered in trying to get all this together, like, not only is the logistics of Optiverse pretty great, because we got 4 different groups coming together and scheduling and trying to get, trying to find, like, compatible people, from various backgrounds to all be at the same place at the same time. It's all been a pretty big headache, but I don't know. Like, I think I kind of been blessed in that the people that we have doing this, even though they aren't friends in real life, or at least friends in close life, I should say.
Sure.
They aren't local. Like, we've built a rapport together, and that's, well, in some cases it's harder to do. like I'm just talking now because I could keep talking. I just don't want to keep talking just to talk. But like we've had some bumps in that road too, and I think if you were in a local proximity to each other,
Like
that would not be
bumps. How like people conflicts with people, or
yeah, like there's been some pretty significant personality conflicts, like that you don't see hopefully like in the front of the screen, but like behind the scenes we've had some pretty significant personality conflicts that is harder to moderate and work out long distance over technology than it would be maybe just to kind of have the group that you've been playing with for years that already know each other. And so yeah, that's essentially, it's just hard, especially introducing people and getting people to play in things as you are throwing them in together. Like it's just it is a challenge. I don't know.
And any of you guys feel free to chime in at any point if you have something to say. I'm not trying to I didn't call Opti out because it was only his turn to talk. I was just trying to make someone talk rather than somebody answer this question. But anyway, I think that's interesting because when
you don't see that stuff, we everybody's professional and they keep it off
yeah,
screen,
of course. But you have being long distance and playing a game together basically on Discord, you have limited time that you spend together, right? So it's probably a lot harder.
And you're not drinking or eating together. You're not sharing jokes necessarily outside. You have to watch what you say because everything you say is moderated over Twitch and will be scrutinized. So there is a barrier to it, for sure.
Right.
We are all business.
business time when Rusty's on the scene.
Especially during casual cosplay, for sure.
There's nothing casual about it.
Rusty, I've always wondered, your show is a Sea of Spears. It's a Song of Ice and Fire, and that game. There you go. And did you guys? So it was obviously going on right at a good time for the last season of Game of Thrones to be going on. You guys didn't plan that, but do you think that? How do you think that helped you, or didn't it?
This isn't really a planning type of show. We ended up, our biggest bump in the road was that we actually ditched Erica's Starfinder game and leapt into this game in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Through absolutely no fault of Erica and her game.
Not at all. That's something I wanted to.
Unpleasant.
That's something I wanted to eventually talk about. I don't think we necessarily need to avoid the discussion, but continue. Go ahead.
It's also not super fun. We'll just say it was some unpleasant Paizo corporate shenanigans that were tangled up in some unfortunate RPG industry abuse shenanigans. And we were like, hey, we're not going to shill for Paizo this weekend. So what are we going to do? And I had kind of a back burner idea for a game. So I was just like, I don't know, I guess I can run this, lol. And then it worked out. So we did like 3 session 0 sessions, which was really cool because we wanted to show off the game. So the house generation, character generation, but also because it's a Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones game, there are certain genre expectations that can lead to session 0 discussions you don't normally have. When most people sit down and go, hey bro, let's run some D&D, you don't have to go, all right, how's everybody feel about incest? Right? Like that's not normally something that just naturally has to come up as, hey, where are we setting the bar on this? Right? So we wanted to kind of take our time with the session 0s and talk about some of the story expectations, which they kind of clearly didn't do with season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Fake
dang.
point. Point Baratheon. So yeah, but we tried to kind of springboard off of it early in season 8. We were like, hey, come pre-game Game of Thrones and do Sea of Spears in the stadium parking lot, before Game of Thrones kicks off later tonight. But mostly it was that so many people are so familiar with the setting and some of the unique expectations of the setting in regards to over-the-top violence, sexualized violence, violent sex, which is kind of a different thing, and like I said, the incest, can't forget that, right. And all that shit. That it just kind of was an extra layer of Session Zero, and also partially some Session Zero talk of how is this game a little bit different than the canonical Game of Thrones setting, and how is it different than the books from the Song of Ice and Fire setting. So, right. It was less to do in particular with this exact season, and just more to do with like the cultural weight of Game of Thrones and of the Song of Ice and Fire stuff. So yeah, both.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna cut in because with their Starfinder game, Max and I had the same kind of scenario with our because we were running our Shattered Isles with a heavily modified yet still under the label of Pathfinder, and so in that same scenario of industry fuckery, we was like, well, what are we gonna do? And I think it was literally it was 3 days before our game, and so it was like, what are we gonna do? Do we just keep going? No.
Not after that.
No. So like, what do we, do we try to switch to another 5th edition? And we're like, no. It's and then like me being the one that's always way more of the worrier of the two of us, it's like, I don't know what we're going to do, babe. I don't know what to say. He's like, don't worry, I got it. I'm going to write a system for us, and it'll be ready by game time. I'm like, okay, you do that. And he did, and that's what we've been using for the past, since like session 3 or 4.
This all happened with your Pathfinder game and with the Starfinder game that Erica was running. This all happened while so I'm notorious around here for being really like control-y and I I need to, everything needs to make sure it happens the right way, and let's all make sure that things don't, whatever. And so I have been planning a weekend, a nice romantic quiet weekend with my wife, where I was gonna just turn everything off, and I was gonna go. I'm not gonna worry about everything with the network, and we're gonna go down to downtown Charleston, South Carolina, get in this really nice hotel, and we're just gonna spend away from the kids, away from everybody, and then during that weekend is when the entire network decides that they're just going to set fire to everything, and they're going to destroy this show, and Cassie and Max's show is just going to completely throw the system out the window and start something new. And I was trying to tamp down my panic, but they did a great job. That's where I'm leading, is that you guys handled it and did that transition amazingly. Erica, what was it? Was that a hard decision for you to make? I mean, you'd been working with Cliff on getting that Starfinder thing up and running for a while.
So I wouldn't say it was a hard decision. With as serious as the events were,
right.
It was pretty cut and dry. It was obvious we weren't going to continue doing the show. Of course, it was disappointing. We were having a pretty good time with it, and we were just starting to get sort of in a rhythm. I felt like for our group kind of coming together. It was like our 3rd, maybe 4th session, and
yeah, it was really, really fast.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we were still like 1 session out from even completing like first small introductory story arc.
Oh yeah.
So it was really kind of a bummer to not even get that completed. But like we said, it's not really a question of what we were going to do.
Yeah, so it wasn't a hard decision to make. It was just like, God damn it.
Yeah, basically, it was like we hadn't even gotten any like plots really going, and characters were just sort of feeling out the rules. We hadn't even gotten to any starship combat in the game. So like there were still aspects that we were looking to show on the stream and all that stuff,
Right.
and so it was just disappointing, really. And potentially in the future, there's opportunity to come back to it. And so that would be really fun. I'm not sure any timetables or anything, but potentially later on, jump back into it.
Yeah, I definitely want to help find a system that is like Starfinder, that can maybe be adapted into a similar kind of setting or something to get Stellar Drift back up and running.
Had some fun with making characters for Traveler.
Yes!
Yeah,
Yes!
you could. Are you ready to start rolling?
Because that's what the show could turn into.
Dice rolls.
You're gonna have like your first character is gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna die before you even get to play it, and then you have to start over. That's Traveler for you guys. If nobody has ever experienced it,
It's not all that bad.
Actually,
It's-
I really,
it's
actually
gotten-
really liked it.
yeah.
I like the
It's
Traveler character creation.
it's gotten a lot better in recent editions.
But
We have
it
a
is
question
a
in
mini game, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it is a
Yeah.
little, yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby, is it cool if I just post a link to Jessica Price's tweet about the Paizo stuff?
Yeah, that's fine. Because
Just
we're kind
cover
of
it.
talking around it, and we don't want to give it a lot of attention here. But people might be curious what we're talking about, so that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Can
a
I-
super like fun topic, so we'll just kind of link to it, and then people can.
Yeah, if you're interested, what
Go
the
for it.
whole fiasco is about. Oz, you have of all the RPG shows, like you said, on the network, you were around first. We had figured out early on with the first Stream-A-Thon that we ever did. So this was around 2 years ago. We had figured out, we thought we did this Stream-A-Thon thing, and we were like, man, this is pretty cool. We'd like to maybe do some more streaming, and the only thing we had to go on the network for streaming was my Six World podcast at the time. I did that, and so we said, well, we really like what Oz is doing with Join the Anarchy. Like, I think at that point all of us had been on your show, and we said we should really talk to that guy. So explain, like, tell me. I don't know if I've ever heard your perspective of it, because it feels so different now, right? Like you're so such an integral part of not only the network but like my day-to-day life. That it's hard for me to imagine how back then you were just this guy that as I like to remember, this fuzzy-headed Oz that that we had just run into at Origins or we set up a meeting with Origins to say, hey, we wanna do stuff with us. So what has that experience been like with you, from going from doing that to where we are now?
Every once in a while I look back on it and I'm like, man, this is kind of like very happenstancey, because I think we have a lot of really great Shadowrun content creation, lots of really great streamers out there, and for you guys who I had looked up to so much, and I'd been like just devouring all of your content from Arcology Podcast and Neo Anarchist and Complex Action. I was just trying to like get by inviting you guys onto the shows.
Sure,
and
No, we totally got
and then
it,
we ended up getting to know each other. Yeah, we got to know each other, and it was just great. And then everything changed when the Shadowcasters attacked, and so then that's yeah.
I got that
and so yeah, I think it was going into like the super backstory of that perspective. Now I'm like I just really enjoy kind of being part of this every once in a while it feels like it's a machine right? And we're really chugging at it, and we're just keep bringing more and more stuff onto the show, like trying to get bigger and more recognition to this channel. And I think we are doing a lot of really great work, and I love that we're able to empower a bunch of us to just tell our stories and to more people. And yeah, I mean, honestly, like this and the fact that this all happened because you selected me.
You make it sound like we have way more power than we do.
Right? Because like
Making it sound like I'm the one that's in charge of everyone's success, but
like
no,
Oz talks
everybody
about
has
how he used to look up to us and what we did, and like I can't ever recall a time thinking that like, man, I've made it somehow.
Yeah, we still don't feel that way.
It's right. It's always felt like it's always felt like this is just what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I can't say that even like we're doing so much more. Like we're really doing so much more than we used to.
Oh yeah.
I still can't reflect on my life and go like, yeah, I guess I've made it in whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm literally writing for the game that I love, you know, and doing like podcasts and doing like, and like I still don't feel like, I just don't feel like I'm doing. That's
just because we're in it every day. So
we tend to be very self-deprecating, I think, but in worth taking the time to note, like we get, you know, about an average of 20 viewers, 10 to 20 viewers a night on our stuff, and that means that there are 10 to 20 people live watching us, and then, you know, however many viewers we get on YouTube as well. So people are interested.
Fans. Those are like family. Like,
no,
they're like the people that we love that hang out with us. But honestly, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like, oh, here's my adoring fans. It's just like, oh, cool. It's like, hey, Norm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you.
It really.
I guess until it gets up to the thousands, when you can't know everybody, then it'll feel like we have a following or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's been a ride, and it continues to be a ride. And thank you to our family. Let's get the network operational for another year.
Yeah,
Yes.
for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, for example, like we've got 41 people in the chat, and like I feel like every single person that posts, like I recognize.
Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah, it's like, hey.
So it doesn't feel like they don't. Like if I met you at a con, I wouldn't be like, here, let me sign that for you. It'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Where are we going to eat?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's, I don't know.
But we like
Maybe
that.
that's
We love it
just
that way.
my answer to everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I get so nervous. Like no one won't sign that for you. Let's go eat somewhere.
One of the things that we are really happy to be doing now is doing shows with people like Rusty and Erica and Cassie and stuff, because and Max. Yes, I'm sorry.
He's right here. He's right here.
It was just the rule of threes. I had said 3 names, so.
Yeah, I understand. I saw that. It's good. We can keep going.
Terrible with that.
So we were really excited, and it was deliberately something that we want to try to do is get other people who had exciting ideas making shows on our network, and you know, we wish we could do everybody's, but we can't. So but Cassie and Max, you guys were kind of the first ones that we tried that with. I did. Cassie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Cassie, very early on, right when we were starting the Shadowcasters Network, messaged me and said, hey, we've got this idea, which was basically the show that they're doing now. And I was like, that's a really cool idea. I'm really busy right now, but I promise I'll get back to you and talk to you about that one day. And then like a year passed, and I did. I remembered that.
Yeah,
and,
it's true.
And what... I would like to hear, what was it like? I remember always being so nervous trying to get that thing going up and running with you guys, because I felt like in such an awkward position, like I'm this producer man who's like let's talk about business and you want to get your show made, huh? And But how has that been? You guys are obviously still doing it. You must
We are.
So
I guess we like it. Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
When we got the first information, I'll give perspective of the person who came in at the back end of it. That's me. And the conversation came my way. I was like, all right, let's do that, because we had our own channel doing our own thing, kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, I have no problem with jumping out. The Shattered Isles is something we love. It's the story we've been telling for a while. We like getting out there. We've come to love doing this stuff. And so when the opportunity arose, it's like, yeah, okay. Because she came to me and said, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, all right. And then
You're so cute.
I mean, I was excited. That's like my level of excitement. I can't translate it very well.
It wasn't just that though, because you don't. I think that one of the things that you all don't necessarily know about Max, but like his ideas are his babies.
Oh. You're right.
So
No,
I was. So
I'll say it.
Okay.
I had a hard time saying yes.
yeah.
Okay, I said it. I had a hard time saying yes. I didn't want to let it go because there's like, man, years. 2000 was when I first came up with the concept. So.
But I sensed that about conversations with you guys early on, and that's why and that I've always been really big about, like, I've told you guys over and over again, I wanted you guys. This is your show. You do what you want with it. We're just here to give you, hopefully, a place where you can get a couple more eyes on the stuff. And I've always been about, and I feel like we try to do this with everybody, giving you guys like as much creative control as we can. It's something that I'm glad you said that, Max, about like you guys have your own channel, your own Twitch channel that you do stuff on, because that's something, and I know Oz can attest to this. I bring this up constantly when he's talking about new shows and getting new people to run it. I'm always asking the question, why don't they just start their own Twitch channel? And the question is not because I'm like, what? I don't want to deal with them. Get them, let them do it themselves. It's more that this is their ideas. What is it that we're like? I don't want to just like assimilate all these ideas that people have just for our own reasons. Like, what is it that we are going to do to help people? How can we benefit them? Because if we're not benefiting them and they could just as easily be doing all of this on their own, then what are we doing? Why are we doing it?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
Then Cassie brought all this stuff to me. I ho-hemmed around it. Finally, we agreed. And then we got this overlay that was badass. And I was staring at it going, fuck, do you know how long it would take, excuse my French, do you know how long it would take for me to actually do all this? And I know how to do it. And she's like, yeah, Bobby did. I'm like, that's awesome. So these guys really have their stuff together. And I wouldn't use the word stuff, but that's...
Oz, I'm sure, is also glad to hear that, because that's something he talks about, is that's what one of the things that he comes back at me saying, like these are some of the things that we're trying to offer people, and one of those is, you know, like a lot of the behind the scenes technical stuff so that people can focus on, like Rusty can focus on like telling that story. And Erica can, you know, Cliff was working really, really hard to make sure that he had all the, going so far, Erica, is to literally be operating the stream so that you could just focus on telling the story that you had. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's what we're trying to do. I want to say, chat room, by the way, we're just going to be rambling for a long time. So if you have questions for any one of them or for us or anything
about
please.
Like the shows, about like GMing, about, you know, like dealing with players, because I mean everybody's got those stories, man.
Opti,
I will say, I wanted to add on to that. That said, because we have so much content now, I almost sometimes feel like, oh man, are we doing what we best can to help every single show? And so like it's one of those, like we will get to it, but then it's like, but then we always, you know, but but
you know, I think that but like from a technical perspective, well, like rolling it back, like this is the stuff that honestly not even our players really get to see. From a technical perspective, I have been so thankful for like having people to essentially be like, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
I don't know how to make this thing work. I don't know how to like connect like, Streamlabs and OBS and all of the things that that go into us even being able to stream a show. So as far as like you guys being worried that you aren't doing enough, from that perspective, like I think that it's been ridiculously helpful. I know that it's
That was a big time distraction.
Okay, sorry. But I know that, like, I'm very thankful to have people who had that technical knowledge so that I didn't have to try to learn it myself. So, yeah, it's good to have know that, like, you guys have our backs with that kind of thing for sure. I know. I'm sorry. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, you're not doing. Yeah, I was acknowledging the puppy. Yeah.
I just thought, like, my feet was slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure. We definitely. I remember sitting down with Rusty and Erica and Opti also, like when we were just like recreating an overlay and just talking about like different tips for OBS and how to do it, and like now they're pros. I mean, it's awesome. It's just it's nice to just be able to like, here's the tools, now go and fly.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
Especially
what happened for me is like every time I went to introduce a new show, Bobby and Oz would say like, oh, that's gonna be so much work. And then I thought, well, if I just cut out the middleman, I don't have to ask them permission anymore.
Yeah. And it's worked because a lot of that has been just like, we just have so much going on, and a lot of times it's not even fair because Opti will be, you have such great ideas and they are a lot of work, and we're just like, oh please, why is it?
At least 5 times in the last 2 months they've been like, yeah, great idea, but no.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So maybe
what
maybe
would make them say yes? What would make them say yes would be if we got to $5,000, because then they could hire somebody else to help with that.
I was gonna say cloning, but that'll work too.
Cloning.
I'm down with cloning.
Me too. So yeah, you should.
I'd like
let me put
stopping
a
technology.
link to that in here.
The cloning.
Yes, there's a link to some
link to cloning.
DIY cloning articles on
You know what? Without continuity of consciousness, like, cloning is worthless.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's true, 100%. But I think we'll get.
I feel bad. I feel bad for the first attempt. All my life is pain.
Right. That's probably yeah. Imagine that going wrong, and like you having 2 consciousnesses in your head, but they're both you, just like different. Like, that'd be awful.
That's kind of what Max and I do on a daily basis, but it's not awful because we still have our separate bodies.
Yep.
So it's okay.
Right. That's the whole point.
But
Having bodily autonomy is definitely a thing.
It helps.
Yeah. I think. Oh man.
So
I think Opti's talking like someone who's not a narcissist. He's like, man, it would be awful if there was 2 of me. And I'm like, no, that would be awesome.
It would be me and myself, like, hey man, you want to go do the thing? Yeah, and then we both feel bad afterwards.
One of me could run games for the other one of me.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
I was.
Oh yeah, and RPGs too. Sure.
So Rusty, a Song of Ice and Fire game that you run, the Sea of Spears, is that I don't know a lot about it, but is that a very political sort of political intrigue game?
Not yet, but it definitely is moving in that direction and is starting to be. The opening arc of the story is all these young scions of this royal house getting summoned rather forcefully by our man Bobby B to a tournament in King's Landing. And it's kind of a coming out party for this generation of a house that is half Dornish royalty, half Targaryen blood. So they're not exactly super popular with the Baratheon regime. So they're kind of getting introduced to the various major players and factions and stuff under the conceit of this tournament in King's Landing. So there's jousting, but then there's also making first impressions. And
Right.
man, that guy really fucking hates me. What's going on? And like, yeah, you'll probably find out in like 6 or 8 months real time. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes where there's like no legitimate reason at this point in the game for why some people hate some other people. And there's no explanation for why some of the NPCs are helping them like they are, and stuff like that. But it's definitely going to be moving into an increasingly political, schemy, backbitey, who do you trust, who are your allies, who you're going to marry, type of direction. Right now, it's honestly like prequel. Like everything we've been doing since like February or whenever we started, this is honestly like prequel chapter, whether the players know it or not.
Right.
It's all just setting the stage.
So one of the things that I was curious about asking you and Erica, since you guys are both on the same show and you kind of been the same group that's morphed into another show, is there, not too long ago, about a year ago, we sort of came up with this new standard that we were going to use with our RPG shows in general, which was going to be a 3-hour show standard. And your show was, you guys did that for a while, and then you said this isn't working, and we were like, okay, whatever you need to do. But that raises the question: you were doing it in a 3-hour chunk, so you did do that for a while, and you had to change to a 4-hour chunk. What does pacing feel like? Because even a 4-hour chunk can really be thought of as a short chunk of time for a game of people sitting down together to play an RPG together. How does it, I think there's something to be said about that experience in general, running shows like this online, and how you have to think about pacing and how you have to think about that, how there's an audience consuming this also.
Let's have Erica take point, and then I will follow up.
Okay. So when we started back for Stellar Drift, and 3 hours is not a whole lot of time. And we even cut that shorter because like the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes were supposed to be for like interaction with the chat. And we had a 15-minute break in the middle. So really, we ended up with around 2.5 hours or so, which is not a whole lot of time, especially when you talk about Paizo products for Pathfinder or Starfinder. Combats can take an hour and a half or more. So I kind of had to plan for, if I was going to have a combat in that session, I had to be ready for it to take up almost the entire time.
Yeah, especially in Starfinder, because whereas you can house rule things and make things go faster and all that kind of stuff, Starfinder at the time was very new, and you guys were concerned with showcasing that system.
Yeah, exactly. So we were trying to get rules as correct as we could, so we could showcase it as well. So it was a little bit of taking our time through it as well. That really expanded the time necessary to do the combats as well. So I really had to kind of decide when it would be appropriate to have combat and when it was appropriate to move the story. I tried to focus a little bit more on the story in the beginning, while still having some small combats that weren't just inconsequential. And it was a little bit challenging, and I'm sure had we continued for a while as we leveled up and got more abilities and had more health, I could quickly see combats taking an entire session at the 3 hours. And for some systems, I think that would really be a problem in the format we were trying to use. So when we went to 4 hours in the Song of Ice and Fire, I think it was a bit more appropriate. It allows us to fit more things in, and gives a little bit more balance, I think, to the pacing in the episodes, and Russ, you can speak to that a bit more.
Yeah, a big part of the other issue for me was that we had a whole extra player. Ash has been a good friend of mine for a couple of years. We actually met playing Song of Ice and Fire online on some play-by-posts. Ash is the only like white dude diversity hire in the history of anything ever. But I wanted an authentic British accent on the show, so I got Ash. But I mostly got Ash because I had talked to Ash about it in the past. Like, hey, if I ever get off my ass and do this online game, I want you to play Ice and Fire with me. But I didn't want to like ditch anybody that was already in the game. We can't kick Erica because she's got all the coolest toys and t-shirts that she shows off every week. We couldn't kick Robert because he makes us cool stuff with his 3D printer. We can't kick Kevin because he gives us voice actor street cred. And I can't kick Felicia because she'll murder me in my sleep and make it look like an accident because she's a hospice nurse and she's some paperwork. So I was like, screw it, we're keeping the whole crew and we're just adding someone. But that does kind of bloat the game, like honestly, to like the limit of what I like in a regular tabletop session, much less in a game on Twitch with push to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's saying a lot because you tend to want to have less people in a situation like this because of over talk and pacing and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and especially with a game that is functionally supposed to be more drama than anything else, which Song of Ice and Fire is kind of supposed to be. The combat is there normally to kind of punctuate other cool stuff. Now we happen to be starting with a joust, so like the last session or two has been a ton of dudes on horses poking each other with sticks. Right. So it's had a lot of combat, but normally the combat's going to be a lot tenser, and some of that comes through in the mechanics of the game. It can be a really lethal game, and getting cut a few times will really mess you up for like weeks in game. So normally what we're looking for is character interactions, characters interacting with NPCs. I am a tremendous advocate of a ton of colorful NPCs, especially in this game where the setting itself is part of the draw. And my love of the setting and the lore is a big part of it. Like I fully populated a tournament with 62 knights that are all canon characters except for the PCs. That was fun to me, researching for that nonsense.
Yeah.
So like I want NPCs and interactions and role play and conversations to be a big part of it. And that's tough, as the group got bigger. I was like, man, we're not even doing like a standard convention 4-hour slot. Man, there's nothing scheduled right after us. Hey, Oz, can we just tack an extra hour on because we all want to talk more? And Oz was like, sure, I guess you're not getting paid any extra. Go get wrecked. And it was like, yeah.
Right.
But again, like, every game is different. So whatever it is that a show needs to, like, we have to always to ensure that you get the best out of every time that you all take time of your own lives to come together and play the session,
Yeah, I think that like with the Shattered Isles, piggybacking off of Russ for sure about like what we were trying to do with the Shattered Isles is really put a lot of emphasis on the setting, since it's one that we've spent a lot of time making, and on the characters, because we feel that those two elements are really what was the priority for us, and that's one of the reasons why we actually kept it to being just a 2-player game. I think. Do you have anything to follow up on that? No?
Nope.
You good?
Yep.
You good?
That...
But so with what we're doing for the Shattered Isles, essentially we've also taken advantage of the fact that nobody has got a show on after us. So, you know, we have a quote unquote 3-hour time block. But generally speaking, it goes over at least a half an hour, if not more, every single time, because there's just so much interesting story that our two players, that John and Paige from Join the Anarchy, provide, that we want to keep telling their stories and exploring and having them explore the world that we've spent so much time creating. So, pretty fun.
Erica, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, so one more difference that was kind of a big change between Starfinder system and the Song of Ice and Fire is the theater of the mind versus playing like on a tabletop on Roll20.
Sure.
That can cause really big differences in time need to do certain activities as well, and that definitely plays out a big time between like D&D and type games versus even Shadowrun, which can be quite long on its own. And Song of Ice and Fire as well.
Yeah.
I do have something to add now I thought about it. And I apologize for being delayed. The brain kicked in finally. The new system that I designed, when looking at how Shadowrun ran on the timetable that we have for our channel and other shows that we've done, like other Pathfinder games and bulky systems, I wanted to be as streamlined as possible. Things were simple, it was fast, numbers were easy, players didn't have much to worry about. And, I also wanted a different dice convention, so I used 3d6, and low is good instead of high, because it provides a little something different. And I find that streamlined systems like Anarchy work really well. There's another one out there called Cypher, which is really streamlined, and I was just recently introduced to it, and I think it looks really good, and I'm trying to figure out something I can do with it. So streamlined systems benefit our platform that we are doing right here when it comes to streaming.
And you know what's cool about streamlined systems is our kind of indie games, right? Or games that don't get as much attention. So being able to, the whole production shebang, the super cool overlay and all of these great characters and like a storyline that people can follow, that's been really awesome. I know on top of Anarchy, Sprawl is doing that really well. I know Optiverse is also pretty streamlined.
Like maybe. So let's talk about that a bit. Like,
actually, wait. Before that, it's Spent Youth, which you also GM'd. I wanted to bring that up as well because that's a streamlined system. But then you also can compare that to Optiverse.
Yeah. So Mutants and Masterminds is fairly quick, all things considered. But again, like, part of the things I'm running into, and this is maybe GM style and maybe what I want out of a game, but in my head, when I was planning all the Optiverse stuff, in my head, 1 4-hour session, or what is it, 2-hour session, 3-hour session, in my head should have felt like an episode of a show, of a 30-minute TV show, or like an issue of a comic. And so I'm always trying to push that to be the case, but in the beginning, I think it led the shows to not be organic enough. But then also, in order to get a sort of nice resolution at the end of any given stream episode, I felt like we really had to skip over some combat. Whereas, like Cliff, on the complete other, like we've hardly had any like plot happening over 2 episodes of Justicars. We've just done one big ass battle, which is charming in its own way because cool stuff happens, like as you role play throughout a battle. So I'm trying to still find my sweet spot for for using the mechanics and just role playing, because honestly, I feel like me and Rusty have had this conversation. Like maybe a different system would have been better for a superhero show focused on role playing.
Yeah, me and Opti have had most of the conversations, just like that there are. We have good long drives to cons to talk this stuff over, and like Mutants and Mastermind is super streamlined compared to probably like the golden industry standard of champions for superhero RPG, but like not compared to a lot of other ones. So
it's not narrative.
It's not at all a narrative game in the modern parlance of narrative. It's really streamlined compared to like Hero System, but so is tax season in real life, right? So yeah, one thing that we've done kind of on topic for streaming in general is I use the hell out of Facebook. We've got a super secret private Facebook group for Sea of Spears, and like immediately after every episode, I post everybody's homework for the next session.
Right.
And then again, like on the alternating weekend, I'm like, hey, we're halfway to next episode. I need you to make sure you get me this. So some of the like mechanical crunch, we try to basically handle off screen, up to and including this last time. I ran like 16 jousts off screen that people got to bet on and stuff, because we're like, it's getting a little repetitive in game. Let's just do all of this in the Facebook group, and then we'll pick up, next session. So I think a lot of it is trying to do stuff off camera, for some of the kind of clunky mechanical stuff. You want to not do that when you're live and cutting into your, hours of playtime.
So I just want to cut in and congratulate Lysander on recognizing my very, very most favorite superhero role-playing system that's ever been played, in my opinion. Phase Rip, Marvel, what a fantastic thing. It sucks that it's like that it's so old, so it's not necessarily relevant if you're wanting to stream, current kind of gaming systems, but my god, it is so fun.
You have a bunch of charts, you roll a bunch of dice, you get this weird, strange superhero thing that has wall crawling and goo shooting powers and laser beam eyes, and you got one chart you're dealing with the entire time for rolling, and the game master has like 5 others he looks at, and then they have campy, terrible stories and modules. So bad.
So wonderful.
That's great. It's great. Yeah, there's a thing I wanted to talk about before, make sure that I get to ask someone about it, and then I want to come back to GMing styles, because I'm always interested in how different people's styles are differ, and it gives me an opportunity to geek out about what Cassie and Max do when we talk about GMing styles. But there was a thing that happened earlier in the year. What made me think about this was something that Rusty said about a casting call for a white dude. But earlier in the year, that's something we think about a lot, is diversity in our streams and whatnot. And we had a little bit of I think maybe a stumble or something, and with specifically for talking about casting for Optiverse, which was something I know, Opti, you felt really strongly you wanted to have a very diverse cast. Tell me about, I've never actually gotten a chance to talk to you about what happened with us and get your feel, like your after action report, so to speak, on what happened, because we had a weird kickback, a weird unexpected reaction to you asking for a casting call for diversity, basically.
So there was a number of odd kickbacks about that from a couple of unexpected places, but essentially the way it started was, if I'm going to do 4 or more shows, in 2019, given the culture that we have, there's like, in my mind, there's really no excuse to not have a diverse cast.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've talked about like how there's good people, there's good actors, players, GMs that are people of color, that are not dudes, that are not straight, that are not cis. Like there's no reason why, if the Optiverse is doing what it wants to do, which is present a superheroic world where all sorts of diversity is celebrated, there's no reason that we can't show that across the board. So what we ended up doing, because like here's the trick, Opti as the person, me, I do not have access to all of that diversity. Like all of my local friends and most of the people that I have professional relationships with are frankly white bearded dudes.
Yeah.
Like that is just like the overwhelming majority of who is in my circle. And so I thought I would throw that net really wide, go to our social media and say, hey, listen, I'm looking for non-cis people, I'm looking for trans people, I'm looking for people of color, I'm looking for ladies, I'm just looking for people who can be more diverse than Opti happens to be, because I want to put you on a show.
Right.
Which, like, right there seems in my head to be a really cool, inclusive statement in 2019. But I forgot that there's like this whole other side of the world with a different worldview. And so we immediately got accused of, I don't remember the exact wording, but something.
White genocide.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Right, but it was that kind of white ire that rises up when when somebody of color gets your spot at Harvard or something like that, which is like,
right.
Listen, this isn't Harvard. This is just like a bunch of superhero shows, and if you're getting upset about it, like we wouldn't have picked you anyway because you're a dick. But there was that backlash, and so we spent some time.
Wow.
I can't remember who was it. Somebody posted on Twitter like, "Hey, isn't it weird that Opti's?" Oh, it was Oz. Oz says, "Hey, some motherfucker is giving Opti shit for trying to be diverse," and all the diversity people were like, "Hey, this is great. I'll be on your show." And I don't know why they all talked with that voice just now, but like, it did, and, or whatever voice they had, and so I got a whole bunch of people, but at the same time. The ramping up of vitriol also increased, and it became this huge thing. And so
this all happened, by the way, at the same time as that vacation I was talking about, like where all the shows were burning down.
Bobby went away, and all of a sudden the SCN was about to burn down.
The second time that you tried to have a vacation, because I think that was like the second time where you decided that you were gonna go on vacation, and then
I don't know. I just don't go on vacation anymore.
I totally forgot that all went down in the same weekend.
Yeah, it was all the same weekend. Yeah.
So what ended up happening is, like, from the far reaches of one side, people were upset that I was even doing this casting call in the first place. Like that, like number one, like that diversity should matter at all. Like they were just they want more white bearded dudes on a show. But then we also had some weird pushback from the other far side, who just came out of the woodwork, and we had a couple of people that were like being like, "Hey, SCN is like super like not allies, and they're really bad, and they're awful people," and we're like, "Wait, what?" Like, so we had to go track that down, and apparently like there was some issue in our Discord from like 2 years ago, and somebody got their feelings hurt, and then that brought out somebody else who was like, "Listen, I love being a part of the SCN, but you guys are not doing it right." It's just the whole thing got really, really weird,
right? And
it blew up. And but you know what? Fuck everybody, because we got a diverse crowd now.
Right, and you say that, and that's
we also have a great group, a great new set of players that are adding so much to all of this new content that we're creating. So
And you say that, and that's true, 100%. And what I want to do is caveat what I'm about to say with saying, I think everything we were trying to do, we believed in 100%, and we were doing the right thing. But I think what at least I came out of that learning is that these are controversial topics, and everybody, even the people that we are on the same side of, all have very complicated, different feelings and perspectives on this whole issue, and you can be caught off guard by that, and you have to be careful, at least about thinking about how you want to talk about it. Like, for example, I had a conversation with somebody after the fact that said, maybe if you had just said it slightly differently and said, hey, we have a lot of white dudes, and we're really excited about those people, and they're great, but we're not seeing as many of these people, applying, so to speak, to our shows, and we just would love to see more of them in that pool of people that we're looking at, because that's essentially what really we were trying to do.
I could have done it better, but the reality is there wasn't any way to do it more expediently. Like, I needed a bunch of people, and I just didn't know how to go about it because my bubble wasn't that big.
Right.
I mean, now I could. I'll tell you what, I could build you the most diverse fucking show ever right now because I got this shit going on.
Right.
But like before, I just didn't, and so sometimes it's gonna be clumsy when you're trying to do good, but that's okay. We can't let it stop us from trying.
No.
Yeah, the big thing that surprised me about that whole kerfluffle was the pushback that he got on the Mutants and Masterminds subreddit in particular. Because this is a game that was lead written by Steve Kenson, and their go-to powerhouse, iconic character cover art for this edition is, that array of characters includes trans characters and gay characters, and it's Green fucking Ronin. They're a remarkably diverse company that I'm proud to freelance for with my own little sliver of nigh invisible diversity, unless somebody checks out my browser history, but they're a diverse ass company, and then for their subreddit to be get the fuck out of here, SJW. It's dude, look at the fucking NPCs in this book you're buying. What's wrong with you, you knucklehead? So yeah, it was just really kind of off-putting. In the name of Saint Stephen of House Kenson, we denounce thee. It was just this weird pushback from fans of, a very inclusive game company.
I think ultimately, we got a lot of pushback, but I think it was, in the end, it was sort of like a gauntlet that we had to run through, and it was worth it in the end.
Oh man.
We learned a little bit.
It
learned a little bit about communicating, but we were definitely trying to do the right thing, and
that some stuff also is about language and the specific use of the language and semantics and how you come across in tone, and intent can be read in very different ways, and so it's place now, I think, where is an educational experience in and of itself, right? And knowing how do we get this so that we don't hurt people.
So just to be overly put too fine a point about this, I just lost my train of thought. When somebody says, why can't you just throw out a casting call and get the best people from all different races and genders and sexualities and well, that's because if I throw it out, I will only get white bearded dudes because that's really all that's in my sphere, right? So I have to first get my sphere purposefully bigger before I can just do that sort of general casting call, which again right now I could totally do because through this episode my sphere has grown a lot. But back then, again, it would have just been a handful of Shadowrun freelancers and the Shadowcasters Network. Again, super dude beard heavy dudes, super heavy bearded dudes in a lot of cases. So it's just I couldn't. I needed to break through that barrier, and yes, it was kind of clumsy and whatnot, and maybe I could have done it better, but maybe I couldn't have. Maybe that was the whole point, in that sometimes we need to clumsily throw ourselves on the pyre of being better people and take our lumps, and then on the other side we can do it easier.
Yeah.
I mean, if you give a golden retriever a Twitter account, it's going to be a little clumsy, but it's also going to be a little endearing.
Right. And it's going to get a lot of retweets.
in particular.
But yeah, I think, and I guess to cap it, because I do want to ask some people about GMing styles before we close up here, is that I think what really got me emotional about the whole thing is that I just got so frustrated that people, and this is just, I get so frustrated about this in general lately in life, is that I got so frustrated that it seemed like people were just not willing to give us the benefit of the doubt for a second and have a conversation with us about it.
Yeah.
Like we hear what you're saying. Like, that's what I kept saying to myself and trying to figure out ways to message people and tweet about and Facebook about, like, saying, like, we hear what you're saying. Like we hear you. And the things that you're yelling at us about, you know, except for all those, like, assholes that we don't care about what they say. But there are a lot of...
Frankly, we do care about what they say.
Sure.
But we just fundamentally disagree, and we're not going to let that change anything.
Right, sure. I was being glib, but you're absolutely right, because that's my point, is we hear everything that you're saying, and we want to talk to you about it. But you're making it so hard for us to talk to you about it.
I'll by way of analogy, I have a friend who has Tourette's, and when we first met, like, he would have these spasms where he just couldn't help. He would say the same word over and over again, random word, and it was so fucking awkward because I just didn't know how to, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to do. So I finally just like had to be like, hey, listen, bud, I'm sorry to have this really awkward conversation with you, but when you have these tics, how do you want me to handle it?
Yeah.
And he just said, just laugh along with me. And I went, great, perfect. That's what I'll do from now on. And then it solved it. But God damn it, that was a really awkward conversation for me to start.
Right.
And sometimes it just has to happen. Sorry.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to start talking, because words can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but everybody, I guess, bringing good intent and benefit of the doubt into a conversation really, really helps.
Right.
It's hard to do on the internet, and it's hard to do in our cultural climate because, I mean, you're really opening yourself up to be slashed, and it hurts. But I mean, my advocation is that we do it anyway. Those of you who can bear to be hurt a little bit, I know that not everybody can, but those of us who can, I think you should open yourself up and at least try to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fucking after-school special right now.
There's a meme making the rounds that just says, I would rather be excluded for who I choose to include than be included for who I choose to exclude.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, like, that's where gaming should be at right now.
Yes.
That's where geekery should be at right now, is making people welcome and welcoming the people that make people feel welcome, and swinging the banhammer when that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Let's talk about GMing style now. So the
Enough of that SJW crap.
Yeah, I've heard enough from the libs.
Guys. Whoa.
And clip.
My pearls.
There we go. That's gonna go down in infamy. I know Cassie and Max have this cool GMing style that they do, so I'm gonna start there, and then I'm gonna go and ask some other people to help describe there. But
start with the best.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Start with the best.
Totally, I've got such an ego.
It's so different though, and we like it so much that you guys do on your Shattered Isle show. You guys co-GM that thing, together. And tell me about what is that like, and how is it really helpful, and how is it hard?
Do you want to start first?
It's an amazing growing experience for our marriage. It's great because we get this opportunity to bond. I habitually never wrote anything down. She hates it.
I hate it.
Cassie's a lot like me, so yeah, I hate it too.
Every detail. I could write down 5 words and I'd be like, I'm ready for the show, let's do this. And she's like, no.
I'm not ready. If I don't have a fucking script,
So
I can't live.
we started off with compromises. Like I compromised, like I will have to write this stuff out, and we compromised that we have to discuss things and we communicate, and that communication is incredibly important. And at first it was hard for both of us. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, because we both had to learn how to communicate about the thing we were most passionate about, running games.
The best
Right.
part, or the worst part of that whole thing, is really the fact that like we were both, for the most part, trying to say the same thing.
Yes.
So you mean you
In
guys
our
were
language-
like you guys were like stumbling over each other constantly?
No. Well,
no,
so before we even
Sure.
go onto the stream, a lot of the times like we'll be like, did we plan anything? Number one, because I forget everything.
But I don't.
And he doesn't. So I was like, did we plan anything? And he's like, yeah, here's my notes. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right. I know what you're. I see what you're saying. You're both. You're
Um,
arguing about like it's like how me and Oz have hour-long arguments on Messenger, and we realized that we agree the whole
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, like I will say something along the lines of, the bard's supposed to be able to deliver the message so that it can start the whole situation going on with the king. And she goes, that's not important, because the most political, and she starts going on about the political situation with the king, and we're talking about
the same thing, but from different angles. And then finally we realize it's like, okay, you write your notes down, I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna ignore them, and I'm gonna write my notes down, and we'll basically be saying the same thing, but just in, you have your thing. So
And that's what we do for
and
prep.
Yeah, that's
And
what we
then
do for
during
prep.
the game,
The
we
prep
generally-
is like the most stressful part for me.
Yeah.
And it's not at all for him.
no.
Yeah.
when during our game, when we're running the show, we will know ahead of time. One of the things we don't write down are descriptions for the
Mhm.
most part. We have those kind of like in our heads, and so we just start talking. And so I will look to her and be like, I have a good description for the bar, and so she'll lead up to it, and then I will continue with my description for the bar.
Yeah.
And if she feels that there is anything that is missing, she'll say, and then she'll continue
Yeah.
on. Or if she gives a description and I feel something's missing, I'll say, and then I will continue on. And having that shared image of what we would like to see helps
Yeah.
tremendously, because we have really talked about the underlying points of view for our story
Mhm.
a lot. How we want our audience to feel, how we want our players to feel, what we want to be portrayed.
Yeah. And I think that like what's more important about what we do when we're GMing is making sure that we have the feel of the situation right. It doesn't necessarily matter like how we each want to express it, because
Yes.
the best part about co-GMing is that we don't express it the same way.
Mhm.
And so that allows us to have an even fuller perspective on what we're presenting to the players and what we're presenting to our audience.
It also makes it interesting because we deviate tasks to the other one.
Mhm.
Like I do particular voices, she does particular voices. She is wholly responsible for everything that happens with the captain of the ship. What he does, what he decides, it's like it's her player character. It's not, it's an NPC, but she favors it. I will be like, what about this, the captain? She's like, she would never do that.
No.
And that's the voice she uses.
That would not happen.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'm really looking for this element to be presented. I
Right.
really want that. And she goes, well, I'll compromise with this direction, and
So-
vice versa.
Yeah. I think that the best part about like, we talk about like how we have these really big discussions, but for the most part, like the compromise happens as we're playing the game. And
Yes.
so we're live as it's happening, and so we can't, 99% of the time it's not like, no, you're totally wrong, we can't do that
Yeah.
at all. Like there's not, that doesn't happen on stream. Like it's essentially the rule of improv, where it's a yes and
Right.
You know, and so a lot of the times, like if I start going off and I have a visual of what I want to have happen during a particular scene or scenario, and it didn't even cross his mind, like he still rolls with it, and and then afterwards, after the game is over, then we can have like our time. Like, I didn't really even think of it that way, and it was like, and pretty much after every single game session, one of us would be like, "Man, that was a really cool idea. I wish I had thought of it." And so
yeah. And the sporadicness of like our improv in our moments and our descriptions and our NPCs, since we internalize, we have separated certain bits and pieces to be the other one's responsibility. It's less weight on our shoulders to do so.
Right.
You get more out of it.
Yeah.
You're providing oversight for each other before the game, but then during the game, you're kind of like filling in holes that normally have when, like, I know this when I GM too, is like sometimes I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot to describe this very specific thing, and then you have like that I really wanted to bring out, but in the heat of the moment, then you can the other person can just be like, oh, about that.
It's like having two opties.
It's like cloning Opti.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
and I bet you guys do exactly the same stuff that I would do with two options. But I won't
She takes me out to lunch quite a bit, yes.
So, I think that, like, I'll be honest, the best part is that I get to spend time with my best friend.
Oh,
And
that's so sweet.
I know, right? Let's get sappy for like 30 seconds here. I get to spend time creating a world with my best friend. And like, and not just creating it, because I mean, fuck it, we've spent the past 10 years creating this shit, right?
Yeah, sure.
I get to spend like 3 to 4 to however long hours it is with my best friend, with something that we are both so passionate about. And at the end of the session, it's like, yeah, high five, we did it. So great.
That's great. I love it.
So yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Sorry, I got
That's all right.
got sappy there.
That's right.
No, I get sappy.
I know.
I'll give you a second to cry while I ask Erica. Erica, I've got I don't know a lot about. Cassie was talking about the difference between the two of them, planning wise and everything. Are you a big planner when it comes to the way that you GM, or are you not?
So a little bit, and it kind of depends a little bit on the type of game as well.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be combat heavy and like Starfinder and such, there's a lot that sometimes you have to plan for. Whereas other times maybe it's not as difficult. Like I find like for GMing Shadowrun, it's easy just to say, well, 12 dice is pretty good for enemies, and you kind of just roll with everything on the fly. But that doesn't quite work as well for other games where things need to be a little bit more tactical and diverse for the enemies. So that's kind of how it was in Starfinder, and I found myself trying to plan out sort of like the scenes a little bit. Typically what I'll do is kind of come up with milestone scenes that I want to hit throughout like a story arc. And so I won't plan everything from how they get to the scenes and the exact clues that'll take them to which specific house or their exact journey between them. I'll just sort of set up these milestones that I kind of want to hit over the way. And a lot of times I'll end up ad-libbing certain clues or run with ideas that the players might have as they try to investigate.
Right.
And as it goes along. So I try not to be too rigid that way, because I found that if I try to overplan a little bit too much, I get stuck railroading a bit. And I learned that about myself when I was younger. So I try not to do as much planning now as I used to. And it seemed to work out a little bit on the better side.
I used to be a notorious
You're a stronger woman than I am, man. Like, I'm just like, so when I GM by myself, It's so hard for me not to, like, I have to, because he's there when I GM, because he's one of my players, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't deal with it. These players have just fucking ruined all of my planning. So, I mean, I still haven't got there yet. So you're a little further along than I am, Erica.
No, so we're gonna have to wrap up soon. I know Mr. Johnson Cliff is waiting to join to do the last thing we're gonna do before we end up closing. But I did want to say we're talking about planning, we're talking about all that kind of stuff. And Oz, I know from talking to you, people might be surprised that you actually, your kind of default GM style is you're a planner yourself.
Are you? No.
Yeah.
No way.
My default style is planning. Join the Anarchy is actually like the aberration, and that me break out of that shell so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Myself into the fire and like being held accountable on live stream for just having to make things up has been like my ability to kind of like half plan, kind of the same thing that Erica was saying. It's like I have certain milestones that I want to hit. For the most part, how they get to those things, I'll just whatever. Paranoia though, I have to plan, because I want to make sure I get all the gags right and I get all of the interplay between societies right. But again, that's also dependent on the game. So D&D, I'm kind of a planner. Sometimes I can improv. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I always comfortable just letting it go and just, you know, ha ha ha. Because sometimes stat blocks matter. Sometimes things that people say and how they approach and motives and stuff like that, all of that matters. And so having even for Join the Anarchy, I do some planning in the sense that I'll listen to the session before the previous session, which is a great thing, being able to listen to live recording of your sessions. And I listen to it again, jot down notes that I might have missed, and then I start thinking, okay, well, that's a plot hole. How do I fill that in my head? Or you know, not even a plot hole, but sometimes just like, okay, what was the motivation behind this? Or like, what's actually going on behind the scenes? And then knowing that helps inform my improv in the future. So I don't have a trajectory on Join the Anarchy per se, but I have a general idea of, I think it's kind of going this way, and then I'll see how this goes. And then, you know, everything goes where it goes.
Yeah, that's good.
Honestly, I have the hardest time GMing. Like, it is just, it's very stressful for me.
I feel the same way 100%. You guys don't see me GM very often because it stresses me out.
So like what I love about GMing is like the world building stuff.
Yeah.
And so like I want the players to explore the world. I just hate when it gets bogged down in let's look at this or let's stop this or if I don't know what to do and the players like have this cool stuff that they're able to do with their characters because they spend a lot of time making them, and I'm like, meh, let's just handwave that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's not fair. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't really know how to fix it because I don't want to. I don't know. Like I feel like I'm overthinking it all the time, but I still want to kind of move things forward and blah blah blah. So I don't know.
Well, yeah. So
there's a certain level of GM oversight, especially on a live show, that needs to happen, right? Like you might think that what you're doing is, but in I guess when you're GMing it and you kind of like have an idea of like the pacing that you're trying to accomplish and what needs to be accomplished within a 3-hour episode, you're like, I really don't have time to this. I accept what you're trying to do, but I want to like move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes I feel like the Twitch particular thing may not be like the best for like long-term gaming community among the players, right? Like because in a normal game, you could just have this really long time and you could do whatever, and there's no pressure to like entertain others. There's no pressure to get things done. So again, that's part of the Twitch particular GM thing that I'm really struggling with, but I'm having fun also, and it's also clear that everybody else is. So I want to keep doing it, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to like be honest with my anxieties and my feelings about it.
It's strange, isn't it? You sit there for the longest time going, I'm going to sit at this table with all these people. We're going to have fun. This is great. And then you start doing it online, and you people over there are enjoying this too?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you say
Yeah.
okay like 5 more times, but I'm not going to.
It is weird, but I'm also grateful for it.
I want to
yeah.
I want to go around the table real fast and let you guys tell everybody what shows we've been talking about tonight that you do and what your schedule is on the network, and then we're gonna switch over to me and Cliff are gonna screw around making a Shadowrun 6th edition character for about an hour. Let's start with Rusty. We haven't heard from him in a while. Rusty, tell everybody what's up.
I am GMing Green Ronin's A Song of Ice and Fire RPG. Our campaign is called A Sea of Spears, which should not be seen as ominous at all. It's going to be a time of peace and tranquility across all the 7 kingdoms. It's just going to be like a CW teen romance drama. There's not going to be any fighting after this jousting and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
But we are live every other Sunday. We're going to be back next week. And then staggering every other Sunday from then on. We got a really great crew. We got some really cool stuff going on. I've got a giant Word document full of NPCs, and I'm ranking how much they like or dislike the PCs at all times, because it's going to be up to them how a lot of the rest of the campaign goes.
Oh my gosh.
I have a few major...
I totally feel you on that.
Yeah, I have a few major plot things planned, some tropes from the books that are gonna pop up in ways that are thematically appropriate for Westeros. But a lot of the nitty gritty of like how shit goes down is all gonna be based on the players and how they react to stuff and how they treat some NPCs and all that good stuff. So, yeah, we will see how it all unfolds live coming at you every other Sunday.
Awesome. Cassie and Max, what's up with you guys?
Whew. So what's up with us? A lot, because we're so busy all the time. However, Shadowcasters Network, we do Shattered Isles, where we co-GM, and it's super awesome, and we do it like every other Saturday.
It is every other Saturday.
Every other Saturday. Are we doing it this Saturday?
We are not doing it this
I mean,
we didn't do it today. Next Saturday. Yes.
Next Saturday, since we don't have the, whole, like, Stream-A-Thon shenanigans getting in our way, we're going to be there 5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m.
5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and beyond.
And we
We also do our own thing.
we are do our own thing.
If you think that co-GMing is fun, wait until you go over to our channel on Twitch, Original Box Set, post it in the chat, check us out, give us a follow. We have other fun things going on. Shattered Isles obviously is our flagship, which we graciously share with the Shadowcasters Network, obviously.
The overlays were amazing.
Yes. However, we do have a few other things going on. First
That
off,
don't have amazing overlays. Because
because
Man.
we're kind of lazy.
I'm not lazy. I got so much I'm
Right,
doing.
you've got so much. I got so much I'm doing.
Anyway.
However, we do Shadowrun every other Sunday. I believe we're doing
Tomorrow.
stuff tomorrow night. So you guys are going to be finishing in the morning. So everybody's going to be able to sleep and get a good rest. So then 7 o'clock.
Yep.
So 7 o'clock tomorrow night, once everybody's fully rested after their 36-hour Stream-A-Thon, come check us out. We're going to be doing some fun things on Shadowrun. Then, later on this next week, we're going to be doing Magic Shop, where we play Magic Item Repo Men. It's very exciting. I love playing that game. It's fantastic. And there's also one with Paige from Join the Anarchy and Max. He runs a solo game for her called Friday Night Frights, and it's fucking scary as fuck.
She recently saw glimpses of the monster, and she's kind of trying to figure it out. Whether it's a vampire, werewolf, or something. She
don't know. And so everybody who's put guesses in the chat, you're wrong. So keep trying. I wrote that shit, man. So you're welcome when you figure it out.
That's
Sorry.
great. Erica, what's I know you're doing a Song of Ice and Fire, but what else? What else do you? Is there anything else that you've got going on that you want people to know about?
Not really. I used to stream on my own channel, but I haven't done that in quite some time. Yeah, but I right now I'm just playing in Rusty's Game of Thrones game, where I'm a character who's focused right now on winning a jousting tournament. And I was also gifted a dagger, an assassin's dagger, from some mysterious person, and I'm sure that won't be used against us at some point.
It's not an assassin's dagger if you don't assassinate anybody with it.
True facts. Opti, what's going on with Optiverse?
We've got 2 ongoing games going on every month. The Variants and the Justicars are what's going on now. The Variants was our first game, and that is a group of young people at the Greystone Academy for the Prodigious. They are just trying to get along and learn how to use their powers in a world that may or may not want or need their help. And then every other Sunday opposite that. So Variants is on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern every other Monday. And then every Sunday that we don't have the Variants, then we're going to have the Justicars, which is 9 o'clock on Sunday evening. And the Justicars are the big damn heroes of the Optiverse. They're the kind of Justice League or the Avengers, and so they get into a big world-spanning hijinks and fight real big bad guys. But I also want to say that coming up in July, when the first season of Variants ends, the time slot on Monday is going to be taken over by the Cosmic Corsairs, of which
right.
Cassie and Max are on that show.
Awesome.
So that's going to be pretty rad. Orion Senshi, who's got his own Twitch channel, is going to be the GM, and also Mac. I don't know how Mac is on that show.
And Sarah, who plays in our Shadowrun game, and
yes,
Viking,
who
yes.
We're really excited about. We had our session 0 a couple days ago, and oh my gosh, it is going to be so much fun.
And I'll start sharing the art as well as we start ramping up. But it's looking super fun. This will be something completely different. Like, this is not like any other Optiverse show, and so I don't really know what to expect because I'm not playing on it and I'm not GMing it. So
you're not playing. You're just so we're so excited because we have so many fun things planned that we all discussed and talked about, and Opti has no idea.
Yep.
So it's gonna be so much fun. And Opti is probably going to be super embarrassed.
Yes, I will. I will just be there, like kind of running tech stuff, and that'll be a kind of a new thing too. Just being a producer and having and watching it and enjoying it. So, be around. If they ever, maybe Bobby and Oz are doing a good thing by not letting me run 3 concurrent Optiverse shows.
It's probably for the best.
That's why we're flipping them, but. And then, of course, in September, we have the Guardian Allies, the prequel of which was the Killing Time crossover. So
cool.
At the end of Killing Time, we had the Guardian Allies kind of prequel. So it's all good. We're all doing it. Doing all good. Good.
Oz, what and tell everybody what you've got going on, and then we're gonna switch over.
I'll keep it brief since I know you want to swap over. I do join the Anarchy. We are an improvised and interactive Shadowrun Anarchy campaign here on the stream. And I just recently started a game of The Sprawl, which is a cyberpunk powered by the apocalypse game where we created our own worlds and now we play in it. And it has been just like nonstop tension and really, really good, really awesome stuff. So definitely check both of those out. Sprawl is every other Saturday afternoon, and Join the Anarchy is every other Monday night. And then side things that I do, I work on Radio Free Detroit, where I voice act Ziggy the Troll Shadowrunning Philosopher. And I am also the voice of Augustus on Tales from the Stuffer Shack, if you've ever heard that Shadowrun Anarchy actual play, where we play Stuffer Shack clerks.
That's fantastic.
By the way, I want to do a parody of a song, that old song, Sugar Shack. I want to turn it into Stuffer Shack.
Nice.
Wait for it.
Oh man.
We could do that.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I do also want to give a shout out though.
Sure,
to
that's no problem.
our
We're only a half hour late for the show that we're trying to switch to. But,
Good. Do it.
No, I do want to bring attention back to our actual play of Misspent Youth, because I know that I had a blast on it. Opti was a great GM for it. Cassie was a great player for it.
Oh man.
So you can check those out on youtube.com/Shadowcasters Network. And actually, that's where we list all of our actual plays. So if any of this stuff sounds interesting and you're like, but how do I walk into this? You can check out all of the backlog there.
Hey, if you want an RPG that allows you to world build and then completely ignore getting bogged down in mechanics, Misspent Youth is a great world building beat based RPG. It's really awesome.
And it's terrible if because oh man.
It's dramatic. It's dramatic. It's awesome.
Yeah.
If you all want to find out, definitely watch it on YouTube. It's super fun. I love it.
all right.
Also, I'm really looking forward to what Erica is going to GM next. So when you decide what you're going to play, let me know, because I want to play in your game.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Awesome.
So let's go around the table one more time and talk about the things that we speculate that people might be interested in seeing. No, I'm just kidding, Cassie. Cassie, do you want to tell everybody what we're...
I was like, oh my god, it's just going to keep going. All right, let's do
I'm
this.
doing it. I'm just gonna,
Passive-aggressive Bobby is fun.
I'm just gonna keep talking now.
Cassie, I'm interested. What are you guys eating for breakfast in the morning?
What am I eating for breakfast? Well, I already had chicken biscuits last morning, so this morning.
You don't want. You don't want me to do this. I'm just gonna switch to the.
I'm just gonna keep talking. I'll do it.
All right, I love every
going.
one of you, all of you.
Oh my god, you know what would be great? I just thought of a good show. Never mind. I'll tell somebody else. Oz and Bobby don't want to hear it. I'll tell somebody else.
I want to talk about my book. You want to hear about my book?
We got alternatives.
All right, we're gonna switch over. I'm gonna work on a Shadowrun character, and then we've got 2 hours left, guys. So
Wish my books. What was going on?
wish me luck. Wish me luck. I'm getting out of here. I can't take it anymore.
GMs unite.
All right,
We're
I'll
doing
see you
it.
guys in just a few minutes while we get set up for this thing. All right, we'll be right back. Hey everybody, that is not Cassie and Max, that is Mr. Johnson or Cliff, and we're gonna talk about some Shadowrun character generation, and I'm gonna switch that name real fast. How's it going, Mr. Johnson?
Well, it was going great until I realized that people are constantly talking about booty horn still. I figured that's something that should be dead and buried by this point.
I told you. I think I told you at the beginning. I said, "Are you sure you want to be mentioning that this is a thought that you had?" There's sometimes ideas we can have end up with a life of their own. We're probably not gonna. So we're gonna start looking at some character creation stuff, and mostly we're not gonna complete a character, but mostly what this will do is give us an opportunity to a structure around which to talk about how character creation is working and how it might be different in 6th edition. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna share this link with Mr. Johnson, and I'll show the sheet on the stream so people can see what we're doing. But oh geez, where's this? Okay, and guys, we are less than 2 hours left. We have made it to our first stretch goal of getting the website revamped, but our next stretch goal is $5,000. We are at 3,000 or 4,525, and if we get 4,545, looks like we got a donation. If we get to 5,000, then we'll get that next stretch goal, which is to have some extra money for some, so sort of a little pot for us to get freelance work to do a lot of the extra things that we can do to take some of the work off of our plates and relax a little bit. All right.
Yeah, I want to start this off first of all, and say that we are not naming this character Booty Horn.
Just get that out of your head.
Just no, it's not happening. And someone was talking about it being a stretch goal. I want to say there is a stretch goal that involves Prism Shard music. And I told Bobby before I was thinking about this, but since it seems unreachable, I shouldn't even taunt you with it. But I think I will, since you're, just shouting booty horn so much. Is if we do hit the stretch goal that gets the extra Prism Shard music, one of those songs will indeed be Booty Horn, but that's not gonna happen. Like, we'd have to hit $6,000 by 4 a.m. Eastern. So
yeah,
I can say that with ease and comfort, knowing that yes, Booty Horn will not be born.
Yeah, having said that, that is your call to prove Mr. Johnson wrong.
I feel like that's an okay sellout for me, because the cool stuff we could do with that extra money would be, it'd be worth maybe. It would somehow balance out my karmic debt for bringing the song Booty Horn into existence. I feel like I've accrued some just by bringing up the idea, but
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, so I don't know how easy this is going to be for people to see, but you know what? It is what it is.
What kind of character were you making before? I wasn't able to catch the thing.
Before, I was working on a physical adept, like a melee-focused character who's a physical adept, and it was simple stuff. We were just talking about like magic, and it gave us some opportunity to talk about some different attribute stuff. But having said that, we can make anything, anything at all.
Let's go with a character that has some, I guess, some mechanical challenge to them, so to speak. So it kind of rules out a face because they're relatively simple to build, I think, unless you work it into something else.
Yeah.
Let's do something that covers one of the other major things. So like a Decker maybe, or Technomancer, or a Rigger, or possibly a Spellcaster of some kind. I think something along those lines. Out of those, I guess, what do you all think? In the chat.
Yeah, I want to hear what the chat has to say. Damien's saying a combat Decker. Keep in mind
He doesn't
again.
count.
Yeah, he doesn't count. Keep in mind again that we're gonna get through mostly maybe into the skills portion of it. I don't know how far we'll get, so I don't know why I bring that up, but I just wanted to, I guess, prepare everyone for the idea, because at 3 a.m. Eastern, in about 45 minutes to an hour, we're gonna switch over to our other thing. All right, Street Shaman. We've got a Street Shaman, a Combat Decker.
Yeah, someone besides Damien said that, so
Yeah.
I guess we should consider it now. Alchemy is still a thing. It's basically kind of the same.
We've got
Sort
two
of.
people. One person who said Street Shaman, another person who says a casino blowing up mage. I feel like maybe that's a reference that I'm not.
Yeah, that's a direct reference.
Okay.
It was a campaign path changing action that was taken by the person who posted it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's been done.
Okay. Let's see. We're gonna have to make a choice. So, do we want to go? Do we want to go Decker or do we want to go Magician?
I kind of want to make a Technomancer, even though that wasn't really any of the suggestions.
somebody
Well,
did.
maybe it was one of them.
Somebody said Techno Face.
Yeah, and I think somebody said Face. A few people said Face earlier. I think maybe we can work Face in along with Technomancer and have that be interesting. And I haven't made a Technomancer yet in the 6th edition rules.
Right.
So that's ignoring a bunch of people's suggestions. Well, maybe not ignoring, but, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what I'm most interested in doing. But I'm also open to, you know, some other, if there's an outcry to you know, to some other alternative, that's fine with me.
Looks like everyone's saying Technomancer / Face. So let's do it.
All right. Cool. So I guess pulling up my book here.
Yeah, so the beginning of character creation, of course, always starts with, and those who are watching me do this earlier already got this spiel, but as you would expect, the 6th edition core rulebook has the priority system. You choose the different priorities, much like 5th edition does, with some changes, but the fundamentals are the same. You're going to choose A through E of all the priorities, which are what do we got? Meta-type.
Well, first of all, you should determine your role in history. So think about who this character is as a person. So I think even though we're focusing mostly on mechanics, it's worth taking a moment to think about that.
Sure.
I mean, we have the concept of a Technomancer Face, but let's think a little bit about where in the world they're from and maybe what kind of background they've come from. So let's have some people throw some ideas out, but I want to have Bobby pull one out of nowhere here. So give us a detail about this person and their life or upbringing or something.
The Technomancer was they were Middle America, like a Middle America person who hid most of their abilities, most of their life not a poor or rich or anything, but just, you know, average Middle America person who most of their life hid their abilities. What's the name that people keep saying? Somebody said what's the first thing in the character creation is the name, and the chat has already decided on what that name should be. Well, tell me what it is. I can't read.
If they're trying to still say booty horn, remember we just vetoed that. So.
Right, I see. Yeah,
So-
it's not booty horn.
Well, there's a few things. Caliphate native, Slums of Hong Kong. I don't know enough about Caliphate, I think, to incorporate that well. So we'll say they were from a weird commune in Middle America,
Sure.
but they escaped it and they sort of lived in the slums of Hong Kong because that's where they, I don't know, they ended up after they got smuggled out or something. Some sort of misadventure. They made it all the way over there. So
Yeah.
they're a Technomancer. They sort of finished their growing up, sort of their later teenager years, and began a Shadowrunning career because they're a sinner living in the slums of Hong Kong, right?
It sounds good. Yeah.
I think that's enough to go on. Just as we go into the priorities, something we get to decide before we even have to think about the priorities is what meta type do we want?
Yeah.
We can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we could. I've been leaning towards Orc lately for some reason. I don't know why that's been jumping out at me lately as a meta type I want to play, but
Okay, so we have Orc, Troll, Dwarf, Oni. Waiting to see if there's any sort of consensus here. Well, no, that's just the same person saying Oni again.
we don't have
But
Oni in the
Yeah.
core rulebook, so.
So-
What we'll have to do is make that count as a vote for Orc.
Okay, yeah, okay, we'll settle on Orc.
Yeah.
Same with the Goblin, we don't have them HMHVV stat stuff in here, so we'll work with Orc. So we have an Orc Technomancer face.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now we get to look at the priorities and figure out where we're gonna put those. I think it's almost obvious we're gonna stick A into Resonance.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. So if you were to pick A for Resonance, and I'll show the chat this chart. If you were to pick A priority for Resonance, then what you would end up is Technomancer with 4 Resonance. And it's just like in other priority systems. It's you go down 3, 2, and 1 for each one of those. Now you might be wondering, well, there's no option that starts you with 6 Magic or 6 Resonance or anything, but that's just because based on what your meta type priority is, you also get these adjustment points, and one of the few things that you can use adjustment points on is to increase your Resonance or Magic attribute, so you can get it up.
Interesting. It might not actually be in our best interest then to put A in that. It might actually work out to put a higher priority in our meta type and use some of that to make up the Resonance points.
I have found so far in my dabbling in character creation that I have tended to want to put a higher priority on meta type because of one of the other things that we'll talk about in a minute. Might as well mention it, which is one of the things that you can spend adjustment points on is also Edge, of course, Magic, but also there are certain, depending on which meta type you pick, there are certain attributes, just straight up attributes that you can increase with these adjustment points.
In this case, the adjustment points would apply to body, strength, or resonance or edge.
Right.
Or any of those.
Right, and the way you see that by looking at this chart is the standard human range of attributes is 1 to 6. So any meta type that has a range that is either greater or less than that, so 1 to 8 is the body, 1 to 8 is the strength, and 1 to 5 is charisma for an orc. So all 3 of those are attributes that can be adjusted with adjustment points, and that's how that works. So yeah, I have found myself doing like A, B, or C with meta type.
So I think as a Technomancer face, we can probably afford to stick E into resources without thinking too hard about it.
Yeah.
We can spend some karma to get a few extra resources if we need them, but I think for the most part, the 8 grand is probably about all we need.
Yes.
Anything else is going to be more ancillary. I always like to go with as high in the attributes one as I can go, but the meta type helps balance that out. That's also going to be helping with our Technomancy, because even if we put A in Technomancy, we're going to need to stick 2 points in there to make it up to 6.
Right.
What do you think?
So let's if we wanted to think about it in min-maxy terms, which why not when you're playing Shadowrun, then the difference between A and B with attributes is 8 points. You have 8 extra points for A attributes than you do with B, and the difference, would you have those 8 attribute points to spend if you chose B for meta type? Yeah, you could increase your edge and your, so I see B being a good, you could do B with meta type, but you could get away with A as meta type as well. I think A as meta type would be a good choice because you can make up those extra 8 attribute points with the 13 adjustment points. If you're trying to pick between A and B for both of those, I think going A meta type and B attributes is perfectly fine.
Wow, that's a lot going into the attributes. Okay.
But that's, that's going to force you to put Also, skills at best at C.
And the resonance at D.
Yeah,
okay.
That would put resonance at D.
That's not the array that I was that I would have imagined, but let's go with it. I think this is going to be interesting. So we're going. I'm going to say let's go with A for attribute, so we get that 24.
Okay.
And then B for meta type, so we get 11 points for our special stuff. And then C for skills, so 20 skill points. And then D for resonance, so we start with a 1 resonance.
Interesting. So let's see.
Already, before we even know we're going to do anything else, we're going to take 5 of our 11 points that we get from our meta type adjustment points and dump those into our resonance to get it up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
That gives us 6 more extra points to play with we can use on body and strength. I don't think we care much at all about strength, but body is nice. But then there's also edge. I think having a solid edge attribute is going to be very helpful. Walking into a situation with like 4 edge at least, so you can do that pre or post edge thing. Man, that's a really nice, really nice way to start things off.
Yep. Now, do you start base with 1 edge?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
So I think I'm kind of inclined to, since we have the 24 attribute points otherwise, maybe dump like as many as we can of our remaining points into edge to get it all the way up to a 6. So we have a nice lucky Technomancer. And then stick that 1 other point into body to start out with a base body of 2. We can work from that with 24 more points. Now, we are allowed to have only a single attribute at its racial maximum,
Yes.
whatever that is. And I think I'm inclined to just put a 6 into logic because that's super important. It's going to affect so many dice pools.
Now, that does mean if we're thinking about a Technomancer face that we can only have a charisma of 4 max.
That's right. So that maybe considering the face element, we should suffer the logic of 5 and put our charisma up to 5. What do you think?
That's kind of the way I was leaning because charisma of 4, I would call a little bit low if you're trying to do face stuff, like if you're attempting to be a focus.
Yeah, 5 feels a lot more comfortable to me there too. So that's gonna eat up what?
That's 8 of our points, 8 of our 24, so we have 16 remaining.
Well, I think our willpower and intuition are both going to be very important because they determine matrix attributes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to max those out as far as we can go, which would put them each at 5.
So that leaves us with 8 more points to spend.
Okay, I'm one of those people who doesn't give a crap about putting a strength of 1 on a character who's like, a techie.
Sure.
Some people seem to think that's like not appropriate because you just couldn't function in the world. I say bollocks to that, but what are your feelings on that topic?
So I actually go back and forth on my feelings about that. Sometimes I'm in a mood where I think that if you have any attribute at a 1, then you should at least be able to justify that somehow. There should be a reason why that is, which isn't to say that you can't do it, but or that you shouldn't do it, but that an attribute of 1 warrants to me an explanation.
Sure, and I think as a player, I would point that out and role play it out from time to time.
Right.
Make it a point to point out just how weak my character is in situations where strength might be of some importance, even feeble strength. Just point out how weak they are. But I think like a scrawny weakling runt of an orc with strength of 1 is something I'm willing to get away with, at least initially. Maybe we can spend some karma to get it up to 2 to make them more respectable, but
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think we're going to want to have some reaction for initiative purposes and for not getting hit by things. And it's going to be helpful to have like not a terrible agility.
Yeah.
But we also want some body too. So we have like what, 8 points left?
Yeah, we could put 3 into both reaction and agility to get those up to 4, and then 2 into body to get that up to. That would also be a 4. So we could end up with 4 at on all those if we wanted.
I'm going to suggest we adjust agility down to 3 and body up to 5.
So we're looking at a 4 in reaction, a 3 in agility. That's 5 of our points, and then the other 3 would go into body, and that would give us a body of 5. So we're looking at right now a body of 5, agility of 3, reaction of 4, strength 1, and then all the mental attributes at 5. So
I think I'm liking this.
yeah, it feels good to me. It feels like an orc technomancer, you know, like it's got some solid body attributes or physical attributes.
With a high body and a low strength like this, I'm picturing them as probably maybe a little overweight.
Yeah.
Like
me as well.
they've got some extra bulk they have to carry around that doesn't necessarily help with their strength. But it does help with not dying when things hit you because you're not quite as squishy, so to speak.
Right. Good. So that takes care of our attributes. Also our meta
and
type.
Gamers Tavern, I apologize. I did not mean to be fat shaming.
Yeah. Certainly not. The skill is so next would be to talk about would be skill. Everything else we've taken care of right now. So we'd be looking at skills. Well, I guess we could calculate our other attributes. Right now we're at a...
Well, one thing I really like about this attribute array is I don't have to think about what my matrix attributes are. They're all 5.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You don't even have to think about that. All your mental attribute dice pool stuff is based on 5. It makes a lot of the stuff really easy for thinking about things like that. So that's kind of handy.
So do you like having high edge attribute characters?
I mean, who doesn't really? I mean, sometimes I feel like I can sacrifice it to like get something else, but even then, like with my character T that I started playing with Shadowrun Origins actual play, he was just introduced, so I think people haven't seen much of him yet. But he started with like an edge of 1, I think, and I spent probably more karma on raising my edge than I have on initiating.
Yeah, my initial thoughts were always, well, I don't want to have too much of a high edge attribute, because then I'm not getting to take advantage of building up edge. But then I realized as I started playing, like that's because once I start like in combat or something like that, I can start spending that edge so fast. I can open up the ability to build up edge very easily. So having a high edge attribute, like I feel like any combat character I play after playing a Rooster on our actual play, I definitely will not have lower than an edge of 4, because I want to be able to use that anticipate action right away, right?
Yeah, and there are a lot of edge-specific matrix actions that are very situational, and it'd be nice to be able to explore and use those. But yeah, having an edge pool of 6, I mean, if you're hot sim, which you're probably going to be pretty much all the time as a technomancer, I think kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Unless you're AR, you get an edge right off the bat for that. And you might, if we pick Analytical Mind, which is kind of almost a go-to for like any logic-based character, right? Because why wouldn't you? Yeah. You're gonna refresh that almost instantly enough to where you can do that 4 edge boost, 2 turns in a row, pretty easily. So I think having that strong edge is going to be worth it. We could probably sack it down a little bit to maybe beef up our body, but then take some of those points and spread it out a little bit more to maybe get our agility back up and maybe boost our strength up. But I don't know. I kind of like having that.
I think the edge is good. I like it where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go with Eric the Mage, giving us a heart for edge. There's endorsement for that. So
yeah, exactly.
Where are we at?
So we are on skills, and here's what I love about skills in 6th edition, and so everybody can see, is that right there is your skill list. It's so easy to look at.
Yep. So we're gonna want electronics. What I'd like to do whenever I make a character is just pick the skills first.
That is
and
exactly
then
what I
stick
do.
the points in.
I sort of make like a wish list of all the skills I'm gonna want to have, and then I start either applying points and seeing what they're gonna be, and then maybe pruning out some of the skills that aren't quite as necessary, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we need electronics, which is our essentially our legal actions computer skill, and then cracking, which is our illegal one.
Yeah, and the linked
see, then
attribute
there's-
for electronics are they both logic?
Typically, yes, though sometimes electronics uses intuition.
Okay.
But the dice pools are the same
Yeah, that's true.
for this character because the stats are the same. That is, so if you're just joining, that's why I said that. We also need tasking because that's the skill for doing compiling, decompiling, and registering sprites.
Linked attribute for that would be resonance.
Yep.
Got it.
And let's see, do we have another Technomancer skill for threading complex forms?
I don't think I don't know. I have not looked at Technomancer stuff yet, so.
I haven't much either, other than to kind of skim over and kind of see that they look pretty much the same.
Yeah, but looking at the list looking at the skill list, I don't see anything that would provide that. So, but we do need to think about the face aspect of things also. So, like con and influence.
I think on our face side of things, we're going to have to settle with one strong social skill. And it's not even going to be super strong.
Yeah.
Because we have very few points to work with.
Yeah.
We're going to have to fill some things out with some karma, I think, to get like some skills at 1 and 2 that aren't going to come from our skill points. Because when you're making a character in Shadowrun, your skill points to get a 5 to a 6 are just 1-to-1 basis. But when you're talking spending karma, it's way more expensive to get a 5 to a 6 than it is 0 to a 1 or a 1 to a 2.
Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about the difference between con and influence, those are your two social skills now. So con involves things like what it sounds like, your deception type skills, but also acting and performance. But influence is more your you could think of like your straight social skills like etiquette, but also intimidation and negotiation, leadership. So I think what do you get out of con? What you get out of con is the ability to manipulate and deceive. Would our Technomancer be able to do that with their Technomancy? And so then would we want to go influence anyway because of that?
I think Technomancers in general, if I may generalize about Technomancers,
Sure.
are often persecuted and feel the need to hide their nature, and would be much more likely to rely on con than more direct influence.
That's a very good point.
I'm looking at the complex forms here, and it looks like they all use either cracking plus resonance or electronics plus resonance to cast them. I mean, thread them.
Okay.
So there isn't a separate resonance casting skill.
Okay.
It was software in 5th edition anyway, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Or is consistent, I should say.
So let's go with con. The linked attribute there is, of course, charisma. But yeah, those that gives us so we have 20 skill points that we can use, and that's 4 skills right now. Do we what else are we looking at?
Something else worth mentioning as well that's new in this edition is not just with attributes, but with skills, you may also have only one skill at maximum level 6.
Yes.
Or higher if you take aptitude, that is.
Right. So what other things in this? What about any combat skills?
I think we're gonna have to put that up to the Technomancy and friends.
Yeah. Hopefully the teammates will help this Technomancy.
I think once they get some money, maybe they'll get a drone or two. I don't know, but for the most part, I don't see them affording any combat skills that are going to be worth a damn, worth using. So I think that's really all we can afford to put our points into. Is maybe I think you're overspending even with those 5, 5, 6, and 5.
Potentially. Well,
it'd be nice to specialize in something, but I don't think we can afford to do that even.
Those are the totals right now. I haven't put any ratings on the sheet yet. There's another column I have for that. So that's just pulling the linked attribute in as the total right now.
Oh, right. Sorry. So I think, gosh, I'm inclined to go with electronics and cracking and tasking each at 5, but with one of them at 6. And then maybe go with con at 3, and then give it a specialization. So there's one thing that the character's really good at, and they can fall back on some other conning, but they've got lots of room to grow in the face territory.
Right.
It makes them a little weak on that side of things, but what is it going to be, like 10 dice on the specialization, like what they're particularly good at? So I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that going too weak on the charisma side of things?
I don't think so. I like to do that, what you just described as well. When I'm limited with my skills, is just think about what this person's going to be doing maybe more than others, and doing exactly what you said.
Either way, I've realized I'm kind of taking the driver's seat on a lot of this stuff. So if
no,
you
go
want
for
to,
it. I did a bunch of it
grab the
earlier.
wheel.
So I did
Okay.
a bunch of it earlier. So earlier in the day. So.
Okay, I think worth noting what I'd also like to put on here, some skills we're definitely going to be buying with Karma, is we definitely need perception.
Oh, yeah.
And we definitely need a stealth skill. And I think we're going to want to buy up a decent influence skill with Karma as well. So I think that's where a lot of our Karma is going to go with our character.
Yeah.
Let's see here. As far as you're talking about 4 con and firearms 1, I think not having to default when you draw a sidearm is one thing, but like maybe even reaching for the gun is a bad idea for this character, though. You know, like they could do something else with their hacking abilities, or calling a sprite, or running away. I see this character as like just not, touching their own gun, but I don't know. What do you think, Bobby? Should we give them a last resort sidearm, or some sort of a combat option that way?
Well, there's no reason that you can't use a gun without a skill, so I don't see why they have to have a firearm skill, especially if it's going to be a last resort,
All right. Well, let's move on to some of the other stuff we have to decide with the character. We'll spend karma on these skills later. I think I'm not even sure if I'm going in order here. We did priorities, and then I guess we're supposed to select our qualities next.
That's right.
That seems like a good next place to stop.
That is right.
I'm going to ask you to give me a reason to not take analytical mind, because
I can't think of one. I mean, there's so much logic stuff. Like, I feel like it's such a strong
3 karma.
one. Yeah, and it's so strong for deckers, or rather matrix characters that are making, cracking and electronics rolls. So let's move over to that analytical mind.
Okay, so that's a 3.3 karma quality. You get a bonus edge when you make any logic-based test. So huge. Looking through some of the other qualities, I'm trying to see if anything jumps out at me. It'd be nice to pick something that's maybe helps to bolster the face side of things. see, how much is first impression? It's 12 karma. That's huge, but you get 2 edge for any social test when you're first interacting with someone, which is almost always. I don't know if it really fits the character so well, at least the way I'm thinking of it. I can't articulate why, though.
Yeah. So remind everybody how much the amount of karma you can spend on qualities and stuff is different in this.
It's worded funny. Let me get it right here. Where is it?
Ooh. Qualities, yeah.
I can't find where it's listed here.
Let's see. We'll find it, don't worry.
You can find it in the advancement part. I feel like I should have run across I mean, it's in the character creation chapter.
Yeah. Let's see. Times 2.
Ah, here we go. You cannot select more than 6 total qualities,
Okay.
and the net karma bonus from those qualities can't be more than 20. So
Right.
it sounds like we could take like as much karma as you want in positive qualities.
Right.
It's just you can't take too many negative qualities to get, you know, well, you can take as many qualities as you want as long as you don't have more than 6. Karma-wise, you just can't get more than 20 extra karma as a result of lots of negative qualities.
Right. But you get 50 karma to spend in character creation.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to want to save some of that for New Yen, and we definitely want some for skills, so...
Yes.
I think the in-debt quality is probably something we want to avoid because we don't need money that much.
Yeah, probably. Did you say first impression you liked?
It's really good, but I'm not sure if... I mean, we're going to get lots of edge from our hacking stuff, too, so... I don't think it's as important, and it is like 12 karma.
Yeah, that is costly.
Let's see, hardening, you get bonus edge when making matrix damage resistance tests. You're going to get bonus edge so much all the time anyway, that's going to be not as important. I'm trying to find something else that might be like a face bonus, but... Okay, I've got it. I think I've got an idea here. Hear me out. Exceptional attribute, charisma.
Okay.
We drop our edge down from a 6 to a 5, and then we stick one of those points into body, and then take one of the other body points away that didn't come from that, so to speak, and stick that in our charisma to get it up to 6.
Interesting. Okay, so we're bringing the edge down to 5, you said?
Well, that's what it would cost us.
Yeah.
Edge of 5 instead of 6. I kind of think that might be worth to get our charisma up to 6.
Yeah, sure.
That would be cool.
Well, if you bring the edge down to 5, then we don't have to. We can just put it in charisma. Charisma is one of the for an
It's
orc.
one of the lower stats for an orc, so it's not one of the ones they can stick attribute points into.
I thought it was that you could put those adjustment points into that if it was lower or higher. But I guess
I'm pretty sure it's only higher,
okay.
but I might be mistaken, or it might be worded ambiguously.
Maybe. So what were you saying? What were you suggesting we lower?
Drop edge down to 5
Mm-hmm.
and get our charisma up to 6. And it'll cost us, I think, 12 karma to get the quality of exceptional attribute charisma.
All right. There we go. Or rather, do it this way. Exceptional attribute, charisma, cost 12 karma.
And I still feel like 5 edge is pretty powerful. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
all right, I think we're cool there. What about our like complex forms and stuff? How many of those do we get?
Ooh. I wonder if you do you have a number that you can spend, or do they just cost karma?
It's probably based on our resonance attribute, based on like what we got from our priority. So I'm not sure though.
Technomancers, let's see, they have the ability. When they select their resonance priority, they also select number of complex forms equal to resonance times 2, using the resonance figure from the priority table, not the number as adjusted.
So that's the drawback of cheaping out on our
Yeah, 'cause
taking
we
resonance D
would only
and
get
bolstering
2
it with our
complex
attribute points.
forms, yeah.
I still think it's worth it because you know, we can get more complex forms later, and those attribute points are a lot more expensive.
That attribute array is solid.
Okay, so we have 2 complex forms.
So let's go take a look. That might be close to the last thing that we get to do before we start wrapping up.
As sprites, we don't have to worry about too much. We can compile and register them. We've got the skills for it. That's pretty much settled. As far as the complex forms go, there's a good bunch of them. We got Cleaner to reduce Overwatch score. That's pretty sweet. Diffusion and Infusion of Matrix attributes. That's the boost or debuff for a specific Matrix attribute. That's handy. Editor that lets you do edit file even if you don't have the access level. Maybe not so handy. I think since we have 2, I don't like the idea of spending 1 on something we can get around with doing with regular Matrix actions.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Puppeteer is pretty sweet. You can do a lot of shenanigans with it. Resonance Channel is a nice way to reduce noise, but let's see, Resonance Spike is like a mana bolt, which I've generally found to be kind of wimpy.
Oh yeah.
Resonance Veil is kind of handy. It's sort of a illusion in the Matrix. That one might be worth considering. A Static Bomb is kind of it's like a smoke bomb, like a ninja smoke bomb move. That one's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
A Static Veil lets you not accumulate Overwatch stitches as healing spell for sprites. Transcend Grid, let's pretend that's not there because it's not supposed to be.
Static Veil could be useful for doing for some Technomancer who does a lot of brute force stuff, right?
Yeah, and someone was talking about the combat decker approach, so maybe that's a good one. And the fade value is nice and low, like a 3. So yeah, why don't we pick that one?
I'm gonna change this to.
I'm gonna go let's go Static Veil, and maybe Infusion Attack.
There we go.
And then we can buff up our attack attribute, which is based on our boosted charisma. Ooh, I didn't even plan that.
Nice.
So I think that makes us pretty powerful even with our 2 forms. And I think the next thing we want to consider is going back to our qualities and picking up a level or maybe 2 of focused concentration.
There you go.
Because that will let us sustain that. It's 12 karma per level, so maybe only 1 level of it. That way, yep, it says spells or complex forms. I just want to make sure it didn't say just spells.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one will let us keep one of our buffs on without having any sustaining penalties. I think that's pretty strong, but it is eating up, what, 27 of our karma is gone from qualities.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't leave us much for skills. I mean, I guess it leaves us 23 that we can use on skills. That's not.
Yeah, but skills cost 5 karma times their
right.
level. So how many skills do we have that we want to get yet? Is it 3 of them?
Let me take a look. My computer's being funny. Yes, 3. Perception,
And the
stealth,
perception.
and influence.
I think we're stuck at 1 on those.
Yes, we would be stuck at 1 if we kept these attributes. Or these.
Talia Reigns, we are rolling up a Technomancer.
Unless we take a negative quality, a number of negative qualities that give us stuff back.
Oh, you're right. I totally didn't even think about that. We need more karma, and we haven't picked any negative qualities yet.
Mm-hmm.
Good thinking, Bobby. All right, so I'm not sure if I want to go with addiction. Allergies. See, there's AR vertigo. Definitely not that. Bad luck. No. With bad luck, 1s and 2s count for glitches, like all the time.
Yeah.
Not towards critical glitches, but towards glitches. Bad rep and no edge on social tests. That's not for us. Combat paralysis. Divided in half at the start of combat. You can't move or sprint in the first round, and you act last. That sounds like a way to die. Dependence. I kind of like the idea of this character having, like, a number of other, like, maybe some people they help to take care of. There might be some older people or some younger people or a combination thereof that they're, like, kind of using some of their resources to, like, help get by in this rough part of town.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tempted to consider dependence. Your dependent quality, you get karma based on the level you take, and there's a percentage of your new yen that goes towards that dependent then, towards paying for that quality.
Which isn't too bad because, as we've said, this Technomancer is not going to be super dependent on new yen. So.
Yeah, so I'm almost inclined to get that at level 3 for giving us 12 karma, and 25% of our money goes away to help the poor, so to speak.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah, Technomancers are always kind of generally like wondering what to do with their money until they discover drones, and then they're, you know.
So that gives us an extra 12 new yen, which would mean, so that's, we're at a minus 15, so that's 35 new yen. I keep saying new yen, I mean karma.
Should we cheese it and do impaired attribute strength? So that our maximum strength is 5 instead of 6?
Sure, why not?
We could even get it at multiple levels, and it'll never get above a whatever. So yeah, let's get it at like level 2 and get 16 karma, and our strength can never go above like a 5.
Love it.
I feel so dirty.
Yeah.
That's what, 5 qualities, right?
Yep, and that actually gives us now 51 karma that we can use.
Well, pick one more negative quality for us, so we have our 6.
Oh boy, I mean there's...
I think I picked them all at this point.
You can always go with distinctive style. What is the maximum amount? Because right now we're getting 28 karma in...
Is that after paying for the positive qualities, though? Because it's... Or is that... Does that even come into account?
I don't know if the wording of that means that in total you can't get that.
Let me look at the wording. No, where did I find that? Here we go. Page 66. The net bonus karma cannot be more than 20. So, yeah, the sentence is, you can't select more than 6 total qualities at character creation, comma, and the net bonus karma cannot be more than 20. So that sounds to me like that's after paying for the positive qualities. seems pretty clear to me. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right about that.
Awesome. So we can load up still. How many points of positive cause did we take? 27.
Yeah.
So we could take up to like close to 20 more points worth, but I don't think we should.
Yeah.
But I think we can squeeze in one more decent negative quality to get us up to a little bit more karma. Also, having more negative qualities is more fun.
Yeah, we're not a big fan of combat. Now, while we're not getting combat paralysis, because like you said, that's a recipe for disaster, we could go with low pain tolerance.
I like it. All wound modifiers are doubled.
Yeah.
That's good for a face and a technomancer. I don't know why. I guess that's a stereotyping, but they're not real people, so I can do that.
Yeah.
Now there's a question. Was I talking about technomancers in character, or was I talking about fictional characters because we're talking about the role-playing game? Why not both? I'm kidding. I actually had a character. One of my favorite characters that I played in 5th edition was a technomancer. Hannah. She was so much fun. And she was absolutely vicious and pretty much an example of why everyone should be afraid of and wary of technomancers.
So we have 61 karma. Let's spend it real fast, and then we can call it quits and switch on over to our finale. I know Damien wanted to join us for that. I think Oz is going to be here, and perhaps Opti, and we're going to hang out. So
okay, well, now that I'm drunk on karma here, we got, how much? 61?
61 karma. We're karmic gods.
So, gosh, we should buy our influence up to like a 4.
Yeah, so that...
Maybe even con. Can we afford that?
What? So explain to me the math of buying, using karma. It's
5 plus 10 plus 15, that's 30. That gets us up to 3. Then another 20 gets us up to 4. So it's 50 karma to go from 0 to 4. So no, we can't afford to do that.
Yeah, there you go.
But maybe if we got influence up to 3, that would be like 30 karma.
So we'd have 21 left.
And then we get perception and stealth, each up at 1. But then one of those we can bump up to a 2.
Yeah, and that leaves us with 1 karma. Yeah.
I'm inclined to go with perception because...
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's, you want perception, yeah.
And then after that, we have 1 karma that we sink into money, because then we'll have 10 grand instead of 8. And basically a little bit of money to spend and we're done.
Yeah, that looks good. I like it. And the money wouldn't be hard to spend, so I don't feel too bad skipping that for now. It'd be things like
you could go with the low lifestyle and a rating 3 fake sin.
There you go.
And that I'd have like 500 million left over.
Right. Right. Get yourself some cheap clothes.
Go with street lifestyle. That way you can afford a little bit of armor.
Yeah. There you go. So there you go. That was so already right there. You're seeing that with just a little bit of experience, you're making characters pretty quickly, and I think that's a good change over 5th edition.
I think this is a strong character too. We're looking at 10s and 11s for dice pools most of the time, racking up 2 points of edge with just about every matrix action. Lots of edge to spend just about every time. Maybe every other matrix action, they're spending a big chunk.
Yeah.
And their con skill is we never decided the specialization, but probably something like fast talk. I'm not sure. I have to look at them, but we have 11 dice for their primary face skill, and then 9 dice for their backup stuff. That's not bad considering their edge pool that they might.
Yeah, no kidding.
To back that up with, I think this is a really strong character. I think I would enjoy playing this character.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, there's not a lot of pomp and circumstance here. We're just gonna take a quick, I guess, 5-minute break and get a couple more people in here, and then hang out for an hour, as we have 1 hour left in the Stream-A-Thon. Maybe do some giveaways. So if you want to buy some last-minute raffle tickets to get yourself some chances to get some of these raffled off items, of which I've saved the best. I'm saving the best for last. The unopened beginner box set and the Sprawl Ops board game with all the extras that are coming with it as a result of it being a Kickstarter reward. So if you want to get in now, because now's your chance. We're going to be giving those away. So we'll be right back in just a minute, guys. Hey everybody, here we are, and we're live with 50 and some change minutes left. I've got Oz. I'm getting on the screen in just a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna talk about some stuff, and less than an hour left. That's not the right one. Hide that. Less than an hour left. I cannot believe it. I did way more this year than in the past.
Same.
I have slept altogether sort of like an hour. Like, and I say sort of like because it wasn't really sleep. It was just like I had Curb Your Enthusiasm on the TV. And I would drift for about an hour. I drift in and out of sleep.
Oh no. I made sure to just go straight to bed whenever I could.
Well, when I would sit down too long, I had a really rough problem with getting back up. And this was when I didn't fall asleep at all. I would get back up, and I would just be like in a shitty mood. I'm like, I do not want to. But I mean, I would sit down and start, and it would be fine. But it was it was getting into that state that was just really crappy. Like I needed
peeling myself out of bed was hard.
Yeah, it's like I needed a 4. Like I would have been much better off with just like one. Like at one point I had 2 RPG shows. There was the Sprawl and Optiverse, and in between there I had an hour. So I would have felt like instead I wish I could have just crammed those 2 together and just had one long 6-hour break instead of 2 3-hour breaks so close together. That would have done me better. But
So
we're
since
here.
we don't have Damien-
I'm not complaining. I did this to myself.
We don't have Damien on here very often. So I just want to say I've been seeing a lot of people posting saying like Bobby deserves naps. I just want to hear Damien's opinion on that subject.
Oh, Bobby deserving naps?
Yes.
Bobby deserves nothing.
Clip has been trolling me all weekend.
I know, I've loved it. So like I said before, I've been talking a lot publicly lately about anxiety and things like that. So I decided to take more of a back seat this time around. So I've been hanging out in chat and doing things like that. And you know what? I have to give it to you guys. I think this is probably the most entertaining of the 3 Stream-A-Thons so far. So
Really?
yeah,
something.
I feel that I can very much put that out there.
I think so. I can only speak personally. I think that, and it might just be experience having done this for as many years as I have, but I felt that when I was on, especially the times when I was on by myself, I was just at ease more in front of the camera. So I was just like, I'm just gonna hang out. Now there was as far as our organized shows go, this year was, in my opinion, the worst year. Because we had some really big problems this year. At least 2 big ones. How about let's just say one big one and one not so big one that we just rolled with. But also a lot of technical problems. Oz has been having he's not Oz, he's Opti on the stream here. Oz has been having technical problems with his microphone all weekend.
Yeah, my microphone. I think what happened was when I moved my microphone to outside to the terrace, I placed it. Things got jiggled around on the inside, and I've already been struggling with this microphone, but I think I messed up my microphone pretty bad, and so like it's been causing all these problems that I definitely did not have before I did a stream test with Bobby for the dance.
Did you do something now? Because you sound fine now.
I kept tapping the microphone over and over, trying to jiggle whatever's inside of it, and I think now we're in a good place.
So just don't touch it anymore.
Literally, that's my fix. I hit it a lot until it started working again.
Yeah, because there was a couple of shows. Now, well, here's the thing, Oz. I don't know. It's really hard to nail down because there were times, in particular during Fiasco, where me and like Cassie were having a lot of trouble hearing you. You would cut out for like seconds at a time, and we couldn't hear you over Discord, but we would unmute the stream and we could hear you on the stream
just fine. Yeah, because I was streaming my microphone directly through OBS, so there's something processing badly on Discord.
Yeah,
that was happening.
Chat was saying that they would hear a couple of cutouts every once in a while, so I don't know. Anyway,
it wasn't that. I don't know. It's a mystery. I think there was a Discord issue, but it was only it was only happening to you and nobody else that I was hearing. So
it was happening during Shadowrun Anarchy there too. Join the Anarchy.
Yeah. So I am using a Yeti mic, Gamers Tavern. So anyway, yeah. So it's again lots of little things I'm going to start working on to upgrading my equipment. Not with the funds that we raised today, but yeah, I mean I've been needing to update a bunch of my stuff anyway.
Speaking of, we've got what looks like about 45 minutes left for you guys to help us out, get us as far as we can get. And
what is our stretch goal at 5,000?
That is basically up for we've been calling it a bunch of different things, but if I'm just to describe what it is, it will be to provide us with a little pool of money to be able to afford freelance help when we need it to take things off of our plates that bog us down. The reason I hesitate to give examples is because we haven't actually outlined what those are going to be, but I'll give you an example of something it might be or might not. But for example, we spend a lot of time with promotional images or thumbnails or like Photoshop image work. So maybe it could be to hire someone in a freelance capacity to help us with that. That's just an example of what it could look like. So that's what that goal is, or
cut down on bullshit work.
Yeah, things that make it so that like I sit down
accounting.
And I'm yeah, hire an accountant. That's what I would love. But yeah, stuff like that. That's what the $5,000 goal would be, and then of course beyond that, $5,500 would be that show that we keep talking about wanting to do, the community.
So we had one at 4,500 though that we hit, right? Was that the website?
Yep, we're getting a website revamp.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna get someone to help us with the website. We are right now at $4,590 dollars. So if nothing else, we're gonna be doing some more raffles here in a few minutes, and some of we're gonna be raffling off the two big items that we have, which are the unopened Shadowrun 6th edition beginner box set and the Shadowrun Sprawl Ops board game that includes the expansion set and a Nuyen chip. That was both of those items donated by Eric DeMage. So if you still want a chance, then
yeah, the idea of raising more money for the fundraiser is cool, and like hitting that next stretch goal and the one beyond it would be amazing. But I also I think the people here for the most part, you've pretty much all supported us a bunch. And I think that's just amazing. We hit our goal pretty early. I mean, we went into this Stream-A-Thon almost with our main goal hit. We hit it just, yesterday morning, morning.
Yeah.
A few hours in at some point. And we've just been adding on top of that with more to work with. And that's been super validating. Bobby and Oz and Opti and myself and a number of other people put a lot of work into this. Probably Bobby and Oz the most, actually, almost certainly. Just so many people put their energy into this with our additional shows that have been going on, and just all the people that have been pulled into that and coming together to put together some great content. And just, I mean, we do it all because we have fun and we love it, and we live in a world that has money, and it's so nice to see that we're supported like this, both by the the parties that have given us cool stuff to give away to help incentivize you to throw money at us, and by you throwing money at us for, playing games on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. There was something that was said in the GM panel before, and Mr. Johnson, I don't know if you happen to hear this, but Opti made a really, really good point, which I want to echo here while we're sitting here, which is this, the people that we hang out with in the chat and that are in there right now, for example, and all of you that have been donating so much and hanging out with us all weekend, it really, as cliche as it might be to say it, it's I think it's often a cliche because it's so appropriate to say so often, but it's definitely appropriate here, which is that we recognize you people, we know who you are, and you feel like really close to us, and I really like the community that we've been able to build over these years, and that's what I set out to do. Damien, I know, when him and I first started talking about the network, that was our number one goal we wanted to accomplish, was to build a strong community, and it feels really good to see that happening. So yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to be at Gen Con, you get to hear us, especially Damien, talk all about community building.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Have you seen? That's the one panel that we're doing that is getting close to selling out on tickets.
Nice.
Ooh.
And
I've been
each of our panels,
promoting it in other channels too.
That's awesome. Maybe that's why, because I haven't been promoting the panels at all. Been so busy. But yeah, that's I think we were set up to sell 100 tickets to each of our events, and that one's getting close. So
very cool.
So that'll be cool.
Our overlay creation, our Twitch overlay creation. So, because we've been getting a lot of really nice feedback from everybody about like how cool our overlays are, and I'm like, you know what? Let's start sharing some tips and tricks.
Yeah, and that's something I really think that I like about what we do, Oz, you and I in particular, and I think it started out as, I don't know, it's something that we really enjoy doing, I think. I know we don't have a lot of time, and so we often get stressed about thinking about doing overlays and having to do overlays, but when we do have the time to do it, it's, I know I've talked to you before, we really enjoy it, and so I like that we get feedback like that, because we try really hard not to just have, and there are channels and networks out there that do this, and it's perfectly fine to have like a single overlay that they use for everything, but we really try to have like a custom look to every show that we put on, and so. But yeah, as a result, we've learned a lot of things, and we're gonna hopefully share those at Gen Con. So.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get too distracted and off topic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm not on there, so I won't be doing it to you.
It'll be just me and Oz. So
You could heckle from the audience.
Oh, I plan on doing that, of course. Very breathtaking.
Yeah. Let's give away a couple of things here. So I'm gonna give away the rest of the PDF bundles that we got from Catalyst. One of them is is a PDF bundle of 5th edition stuff, but late 5th edition stuff. So Better Than Bad, Kill Code, Forbidden Arcana, and Street Lethal all in a bundle. So let's do that real fast. Who's gonna win that? It will be, boom, Grayson Wadsworth.
That is amazing.
I know.
I know, right?
Yeah, I love that name.
Can't be real.
Yeah.
That is a handle.
Well,
Yep.
Absolutely. Because I
should make that an NPC somewhere.
Grayson.
Wait, I'm gonna write
Grayson
that down.
Wadsworth.
Grayson Wadsworth.
Grayson
Right?
Wadsworth.
Grayson Wadsworth, you have
We should all
won,
just have
and
an
you have
NPC.
also become an NPC in a number of random campaigns.
The next one we're gonna give away is a PDF bundle that Catalyst gave us. Really, what Catalyst did was said, I talked to Jason Hardy and he said, okay, here's what you can have, X number of these and this, and here's what you can have, and I grouped them into bundles. So one of the bundles is an Anarchy bundle. It's a PDF copy of Shadowrun Anarchy and Chicago Chaos, which is Anarchy You call that a source book? So let's see who's gonna get that. I just did the random number generator. Matt Hansen. Matt Hansen. We will get in touch with. Congratulations, Matt Hansen.
Good work.
On that bundle. What was your favorite? What was your favorite show to watch, Damien? Of the stuff that you did get to watch.
I would have to say I'm probably going to lean on Paranoia on that one.
That is always a crowd favorite, yeah.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. Watching Oz get incredibly stressed out is hilarious. But no, everybody did a fantastic job with it this year. But I told Katie how it ended because she went to bed, but she was very curious, and it was nice to see that it ended in tragedy again.
Again,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love so many. Yeah. I love so many of the shows.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about it this year was we had more women than men on the show. So, I mean, I guess I'm thinking of players, but
yeah, and they're so much better than you.
You know what else? We also had so many cards flying back and forth that.
Oh my gosh!
We need to raise the amount of the on the next Stream-A-Thon.
I think
we need to raise it because it was kind of hard to track.
We might have to adjust some things. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I do remember at some point in the Paranoia game, I was laughing so hard that I had tears streaming like out of my eyes. Like I had to dab my face to like stop them from flowing down my cheeks.
Was it when you stripped off your jumpsuit way earlier than I thought you would and revealed that you were wearing communist underwear?
It might have been involved in that, but it also had something to do with someone's reaction or interaction with that whole mess. And I wish I could remember specifics. It's all kind of just a blur of insanity at this point now. But yeah, it's rare that I laugh that hard.
I was so impressed with your depiction of that faction because that was the one I got last year, I think, on the stream.
You got the free. It was like a Mark C Enterprise, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it was another.
You kept trying to get us
free muscles. Free Marketeers. That was what it was.
Yeah,
but they like to flex muscles too. So
yeah, Damien last year kept trying to get all of us to, in particular my character, kept trying to get us to sneak into the black market and buy stuff.
Yeah.
Shannon, who played Paranoia with us, is in the chat. She said she told her husband that she won Paranoia, and then she said, "Was I wrong?" Yes. Yeah, I don't think.
Did I care? No.
None of us won.
I don't think the computer even won Paranoia this time.
No.
Usually the computer wins, but
in this one,
everybody lost, except for maybe the yeast.
No, the yeast definitely succeeded.
Oh yeah.
The yeast monster that was within the yeast also succeeded.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to the yeast monster. We just kept wrecking our own stuff.
Bobby got like a hint of it, and I was like, okay, I get to bring this out at some point. But then everybody was just busy killing each other, so I was like, okay,
yeah,
I don't have to do anything.
Afterwards, Katie was like, "How do you even win How do you even win like a game of Paranoia?" I'm like, "Well, basically, you start by not trying to kill each other every like 3 to 4 minutes."
Yeah,
so we never win.
I was generally all about the dancing and the trying to be helpful or oblivious. But I think with Sarah, it eventually came down to you're just killing too many people. I have to kill you now with the dance move.
Yeah. It really is just every year in the Stream-A-Thon. We have such a tight time frame and so many action cards going around. It's just the how can we kill each other game every year.
Chaos. It's absolute chaos. It's great.
Yeah. There's two more.
Stitching my uniform to me, that was cruel. Take it off at that point.
I mean, you were chestless, or you were bare chested like immediately.
Not the same.
Yeah.
She's not the same.
Yeah. I've got 2 more PDF kits bundles that are not Shadowrun, but they were given to us by FASA. I gave away the Earth Dawn one, or raffled off the Earth Dawn one earlier, but this next one is the 1879 RPG, like a starter kit for that. It includes the Player's Guide, the Game Master's Guide, London source book, and then the Big Trouble in Little Soho Adventure.
I want to play that game.
Yeah, well, Jeffrey Miller will get to check it out, and who won that.
Congrats.
So congratulations to Jeffrey Miller.
Awesome.
And then the other one is the Demon World Miniatures Starter Kit, is Deluxe Starter Kit, I called it. It's these are all PDFs for the rules and everything. It's the core rule book, the Dwarf Army book, the Thane Army book, the Elf Army book, and the Ishtak Army book. So a bunch of army books, and then the core rule book for the Demon World Miniatures game, and that is going to go to Joshua Schlemmer. So congratulations!
Excited.
Yeah, you guys.
We need to cheer more.
Yeah.
Yay!
Happiness is mandatory, citizens.
Yeah.
Woo!
So hard.
It's 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, let's get some of these other ones
Not
out of
an
the way.
excuse for substandard morale.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to. I didn't realize you were still giving things away.
I can
Give more things away.
I can give these things away. I can draw the names while people are talking and then announce who gets them. So
I was about to say, since you guys were involved in far more than I was, what did you enjoy doing the most during the Stream-A-Thon?
Cliff?
Oh, gosh, I think. Well, I already talked about laughing so hard I was crying in paranoia. So I'll just skip that and set that one aside and have it not be a contender in this one. And I'll say Clue. Clue was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just playing the part of like that just like boorish asshole that you just want to have be. Like, I saw Mr. Green's picture. I'm like, there's no way this dude isn't just a total dick. I tried to be as big of a grumpy asshole as possible. And
I was impressed.
Tried to make myself seem as incriminating as I could, because I didn't know if I did it or not, right? I didn't have my card in my hand. I never encountered it. I suspected I was innocent, but like, whatever. I wasn't going to be pushed around by these people. I figured he was... Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
it definitely felt like you were channeling Damien during that game. So
I was very impressed. I liked it.
I was kind of thinking of like Red from that 70s show minus any endearing qualities.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. So
yeah.
And yeah, the Ryathel romance cue, that was I feel like I went a little too dark there, but
yeah, I mean it was funny as fuck though. But would you say that there's a future between Mr. Green and Miss Scarlet?
I mean that depends on how much Miss Scarlet is willing to just subsume herself according to the demands of this boorish asshole, right?
So we can all
probably
hope not,
right? It's probably going to last like 24 hours at best.
For Miss Scarlet's, in Miss Scarlet's defense, hopefully that ends.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah.
I will say that Red
Clue
is
a lot of fun.
100% endearing. I'm sorry. He's maybe like 50-50. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in an argument with Gray Man over characters from a sitcom I don't watch anymore. But probably saw all the episodes more than once.
I love how on these Stream-A-Thons, you guys end up taking on these classic board games now for the last 2 years, really.
Yeah.
Classic's one word
It's been
for
a
it.
lot of
But no, actually, I talk shit about them. I mean, life is terrible, right? That board game has no endearing qualities. It's just the fact that we have fun playing together that made
played
it
it
fun.
with endearing people, yeah.
But like Clue,
In an endearing context.
I think if you remove the ridiculous roll and move mechanic, I think it's a solid game. I think the roll and move mechanic, what the hell is that doing there? It makes no sense. Why not just move around to like pick the room and your thing on your turn whenever you feel like it? or have some other mechanic for like how you get from room to room other than this ridiculous board and rolling the dice for it. I hated that. But
Yeah, like why not just have a mansion of like 9 rooms that are all together rather than spaced out in like random hallways?
right?
Because it's an old game and they had to have a board and a dice.
Yeah, like where's the roll and move mechanic? Oh, all right, fine. We'll put a roll and move thing in there. And little squares. Okay, fine. Little freaking squares that you got to get stuck in the hallway for 3 turns if you roll like crap.
People want to roll and move. We got to put it in.
How else are they gonna move?
All right.
Yeah, no, Clue is fun. I liked, honestly, I greatly enjoyed everything that I did this year. Between that, Fiasco was hilarious.
So that was gonna be my favorite. Greg from Very Random Encounters. If you're around in the chat, I know he was just a little bit earlier. He was a blast to play with. Cassie was there too, and she's always fun to play with. We've played Fiasco with her before, and so she's kind of a known quantity. I knew she was going to be a blast to play with, but Greg was delightful.
Greg really brought it to like an extra level.
Yeah.
That character was just perfection.
Yeah.
If you guys end up putting that one up, I would be very interested in watching that later because I love the Fiasco things. I loved playing in it last year with you guys, and it's one of my favorites in the Stream-A-Thon.
How fortunate it was us to be double booked and have to give up our room in Gen Con. That was so cool. Like, I mean, that part of it was it was all cool, right? But maybe inconvenient. But it was just so worth it to meet those guys.
Yes, 100% worth it to meet those guys. They're amazing. I've got some more things that I've raffled off. I'm going to go down the list here and name some winners. I drew some winners for some stuff. Let's see. We're going to start from the bottom up. Cassie, actually, speaking of Cassie, donated some stuff to be given away to people. One of them is the Conquest of Spiros game. I think it's a board game. I don't know. Conquest of Spiros. She just told me she's giving it away. I should know something about it before I say who is going to get it. It's a board game. Conquest of Spiros. And that is going to go to Chummer Jim.
Hey,
Chummer Jim.
Nice.
You still awake?
Still awake, yeah.
Better be.
Yeah, you've got work to do. He's been helping me out behind the scenes a lot.
Yeah, there he is.
A lot. Yeah.
I hate that guy.
We owe all of our behind the scenes people.
Yeah,
a
Brag
shout
that
out
guy.
for sure.
Yeah, it was mostly Chummer Jim. We had some
Jim.
other people, but mostly he was doing a lot of this tracking tickets and stuff for me. So
Yeah.
I gotta say,
get him out of here.
As a player, Chummer Jim just endures abuse from the GM with such aplomb.
The other thing that Cassie is giving away is a Shadowrun thing. We love our Shadowrun here, and there's a 6th edition dice and edge token set with dice bag. We've seen that pictures of that floating around, and we gave one of those away even earlier. And that is going to Kelly McMahon is getting that. So congratulations, Kelly McMahon. Thank you so much, guys.
Nice.
Winners.
Yes.
Winners. All right, and let's see.
Going back to other cool things that went on, let's shout out to Trav who joined the Anarchy.
That was so much fun.
That was so good. Ran this like Belko experiment style the ship that it was just so good.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I was immediately getting Belko experiment vibes like from
You know what he did that was. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish what you're saying.
No. I honestly don't know. Go ahead. You tell me.
The great thing that he did about that, and nobody would know this because they weren't privy to the conversations we were having behind the scenes before we did that show. But we were talking a lot about what the theme and what it was going to be that the show was, and there was some conversation about some people like me and Damien wanted to do an office setting thing. We thought that was a fun idea. Actually, I think it was Paige's initial idea. She brought it up. But then there was some like Trav who was saying, let's do something more like zany high octane combat stuff. And I was like, I wasn't really interested in that, and there was back and forth about that. But Trav kind of like took the Office theme and like fused it with like some other like combat thing that really worked really well. It was super fun. I was very surprised. I loved being able to like just like go all in my head and think about an office worker and how they would respond to this like this crazy situation.
Rest in peace, Eugene.
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like my character had an arc in there. He started as like this, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to become promoted. Like I'm gonna work within the bureaucracy of the, and then he like befriended Hank the asshole, somehow, or like somehow ended up becoming inspired by him.
Yeah, same for Jill.
Yeah.
And Hank never made it out of there. Hank never got his firing.
I have to say, for the first hour, I did not think I was convinced this is not going anywhere. Well, our characters are not going to ever find common ground.
Yeah.
But
as soon as things went down.
Yeah, we did. All right,
Yeah,
but
so Bobby, I wanted to ask you about Left 4 Dead 2. Like, what did you think about the question I asked you about? If you remember it.
I do remember it, but I couldn't think about the character too much, and I didn't know who you were referring to. Which character? I might remember. I would know the name.
I think it's Francis.
Francis?
And I was asking you if Francis reminded you of Damien.
No, I don't remember a Francis, so we might have been playing a scenario that didn't have that character or something.
I think he's. Am I getting names wrong? He's the guy who like hates everything. Like
is that Bill?
Scenario saying that he hates. No, Bill's the old guy, the Vietnam vet with the beret or whatever. I'm thinking like the. Never mind.
We had a
Maybe
Rochelle.
it's not as obvious as I thought.
I think he's
What was that, Oz?
Oh, maybe he's just in one. Yeah, never mind.
not two.
Yeah, I guess he's not in 2. I'm thinking of like in 2, they did
Yeah,
have
in
some
2.
maps that had the original characters, but I think that was like just like a one campaign thing. It's been so long since I played those games. Never mind then.
He's just bitter and hates everything. Yeah, I get it.
Except best.
But in a funny way, usually. No, not always. Sometimes it's just grumpy. You're cooler than Francis is. Except that you don't kill zombies, as far as I know.
Damien's not always grumpy in a funny way either. So
Yeah, sometimes he's funny in a grumpy way.
Yeah. We got a couple more giveaways here.
Okay, I have confirmation from Trav.
Damien is
not just
totally a
pulling this
Francis.
out of
Okay,
nowhere.
yeah. So we have from people sponsoring us that again, Cassie went a long way, by the way. She's an unsung hero of the Stream-A-Thon as well. She did a lot of assistant type work for me in prepping for this, and this was one of the things I keep saying, Cassie got this, or Cassie. She did a lot of legwork in getting us sponsors, so thank you, Cassie, if you're listening. But there were two. There's a company called Beyond Geek that makes I guess things like soaps and bath bombs and stuff, and they made a set of Shadowrun bath bombs, and we're giving away 2 Shadowrun bath bomb sets.
What?
Yeah, and those are going to Paul Higdon is getting one, and Terry Winter is getting the other. So there you go, guys. Enjoy a soothing bath bomb.
Enjoy smelling like a Shadowrunner.
Yeah, which is like blood and gunpowder. Yeah, enjoy that. I also have I'm going to give away the rest of our character art. We gave away one a character art commission that we were raffling off that Paige was going to do. Paige Jones, everybody knows Paige. So we already gave that one away. But speaking of Trav, Trav introduced me to all of us to Sarah. and she is one of my favorite people ever, and I've played tons of Shadowrun with her, and she's been on our streams. She also does art, and she is. We are raffling off a commission of her art to Chummer Jim. So congratulations, Chummer Jim, and I'm jealous of that one. All right, because I happen to love her artwork, and so I wish I was able to win something.
Wait, Chummer Jim got Sarah's artwork?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's bullshit. Strip him of it and give it to somebody that's actually a decent human being.
Look, you get it's randomness is random, okay?
Shadowrun with Sarah?
No. I said, did I say Shadowrun? If I said Shadowrun, I meant World of Warcraft.
Delirious now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you confusing her with Sarah Krause? What's it? What?
No. I was wondering why you had a confused look on your face. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, if I said Shadowrun, I meant World of Warcraft. We've played a bunch of World of Warcraft together. So, and then there's another artist which is donated some character artwork, half body black and white inked character artwork. I'm gonna put this person's because they're not someone that is known to our community, maybe not known to our community, so I'm gonna link this person's, if I can figure out how to do this, copy link address.
Did we also mention that Sarah? Sorry, did we also mention that Sarah was the artist for Join the Anarchy?
I did not mention that, but yeah, that's where you've seen her artwork before. By the way, is all the Join the Anarchy character art that's out there right now, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, click that link. She's badass.
That's not Sarah.
Good.
That's not Sarah. That is
No, it's a different one. Well, this person is badass.
Yeah, and we
I'll
are.
have to see Sarah's art before I can say whether or not they're badass.
Yeah, here's while we're talking about it, let's put in here's Sarah's
Well,
artwork.
I have from a reputable source that it is beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, Trav.
Really good art.
But yeah, that we're giving away that, and that is going to go to Jonathan Sellers, half body black and white inked art, character art from DK Yingst, and
Well, that is the one I clicked, and yes, so.
All right, and just for good measure, let's put Paige's what do you call it? Instagram in there too. Here we go. Page.
Were you able to give out the Sprawl copies? I was supposed to do it while we were on the Sprawl.
I don't have those on this list. So.
Well, that's a thing. Let's give away Sprawl.
Give them out.
Copies.
Are they PDF copies? Oh yeah, you did tell me about that. Who is it that's who is the donor?
Hamish Cameron, the actual author of the Sprawl RPG.
Okay.
We got in contact with him, and yeah, so he is putting up actually he's doing 3 copies of the Sprawl, each with an additional copy of Mission Files, which is a separate supplementary book for the Sprawl. So thank you so much to Hamish Cameron, and especially because he's moving internationally, so that's why I had a lot of we've had we'll talk and then we don't talk for another week, 2 weeks, and then we're like, hey, I meant to get back to you, and so that's been going on. So I'm very, very happy to be able to give those out.
Yeah. And did I see on Twitter some announcement that the Sprawl was getting a magic source book or something?
Yes, you did see that. Yeah.
That is very cool.
Magic slash. It's basically the it looks like an official Shadowrun style edition, like urban fantasy. So
yeah. The winner of I just drew for the Sprawl RPG, it's gonna go to Ben Ament. So congratulations!
Woo!
You're getting the Sprawl.
Yes.
Start playing it with your friends.
Enjoy that one.
Yeah. All right. Let's give away some drive-through RPG store coupons.
Nice. And you know what? I also enjoyed running the Sprawl. I always enjoy running the Sprawl, though. It was a this wasn't a special episode. It was a continuation of what we what we would have been doing had we not had the Stream-A-Thon. It was supposed to happen today anyway. So we just kept it in the same time slot. And yeah, that game, it's so good. It's just so good. There's lots of really good tension.
Oh, you get to play with a whole bunch of good players as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a great cast. So
yeah, keep talking. I'm
they are infiltrating right now this smart mecha factory to sabotage the whole production, and their black trench coating of that situation was spot on perfection. They're still in a cliffhanger moment, but like they're halfway still through that mission, but that was like class act black trench coat.
Very nice.
That is. All right, so we have we have 3 store coupons for Drive-Thru RPG. We have a $50 store coupon and 2 $25. The $25 store coupons for Drive-Thru RPG are going to go to Thomas Cool, who has basically won everything, but to be fair, it's because he has bought all the tickets.
Thomas Cool's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
He's great. And
Whereas we often refer to him as Cool TC.
yeah, Cool TC in the chat. And then also another cool guy from our community and Shadowrun going to win the other $25 store coupon is Laszlo Zingo. So,
Hey!
yeah.
Yay.
So congratulations on that. And the $50 store coupon is going to go to Leonard Seger, or I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. So congratulations, Leonard Seger, Thomas Cool, and Laszlo Zingo. Leonard, you're going to get the $50 store coupon. Thank you so much, guys, for contributing to the what is this thing that we're doing, the fundraiser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fundraiser, Bobby. Focus.
Focus.
We're almost done.
$4,610. This is the most money we've ever raised. So I'm so excited about it. So ecstatic about that.
And that doesn't even really count all those tips that I generated on my dance.
It doesn't. There's been a lot of you did get a lot of tips.
We're making it rain.
Yeah, they're filling that jar up and making it explode. And then all throughout we got a bunch of subscriptions and cheers and stuff all over the place. And yeah, that's been really, really fun.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It was funny when I was as I was working on that choreography, I realized I have something special, and I was like, Bobby, when we do this, I need your reaction cam, and I also need the tip jar. Like, why do we need a tip jar? Well, come on,
Why do you think?
Yeah.
Like, trust me, Bobby.
Well, I knew why he wanted it. Okay, so to give a little context, we had some thanks Gentonic for the bits.
Thank you.
We have a little discussion behind the scenes always. There's a lot of logistics that go into how we're gonna set everything up for this. And one of the things that we talk about every year is what are we gonna do about our normal Twitch stuff, which is we're pushing Streamlabs donations through PayPal and subscriptions and cheers, right? That's like the mainline way that we monetize with Twitch. And so many people love doing it. It's a really cool way that Twitch allows us to do that. So we always, during the Stream-A-Thon, we talk about it every year in case the idea changes, but we always say, no, what we're going to do is we're going to it's all about the fundraiser and the perks people can get through that. It's not easy for us to kind of do both at the same time and make them jive together. So we say we're just going to take all of that stuff off the screen. We're not going to talk about it, and we're just going to try to get people to donate to this thing. And so that's the context. Oz comes to me and he says, Bobby, I need you to turn on the jar during my dance. I need there to be, and I was like, really? Why do you need that? And he
just watch.
Yeah, he talked me into it.
I said, I'm like, they're going to tip the shit out of me, Bobby. Trust me. And Bobby's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't think you didn't expect what I brought.
I had like a pre-made like a tip macro. I hadn't even coordinated that with you guys. I did not coordinate that. I just threw.
That's funny. That's so awesome. But that was a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. I'm doing the last 3 drawings right now. It's going to be so that you guys know what we're about to dramatically give away is a set of 4 custom-made wooden coasters with the Shadowrun logo on it by Arcane Artistry. That's one thing we're going to give away. Another thing is the Shadowrun Sprawl Ops board game, plus the expansion set and Nuyen chip that come with it, that Eric DeMage donated as part of his Kickstarter reward for Shadowrun Sprawl Ops. We're about to give that away, and also the unopened Shadowrun 6th edition beginner box set that Eric is also donating to us. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm drawing the winners. So sit in suspense. I'm going to draw all 3 of them so that we don't have to listen to me scroll between each one. All right.
From ending.
Okay. Are you ready? It's so quiet.
Yeah, I'm just leaving you hanging, really.
The suspense, the anticipation.
Have I mentioned, Bobby, when you're this exhausted, you look even more pasty and ugly than you actually normally are?
I mean, because like there's so much grease and sweat all over me. My hair
You
looks
look disgusting.
ridiculous. I have not eaten properly all weekend, so I probably am like pale and splotchy.
Just watched your hair disintegrate.
Your quiff seems to be holding up pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Front of it.
Well, then there's the headphones like smashing.
Well, that's really all we can see, Damien. Like, obviously, we're talking about, and a quiff is all in front. Like, what is the back? There's no quiff in the back.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't exist back there anyway. So,
all right, you got me. I'm just trying to make fun of them.
Yeah.
yeah, why am I jumping on you,
Yeah.
tearing down? I should. I guess I feel bad because, like, I've been, you're
good.
here now.
You
And
balanced
you're
it
handling that role.
You balanced it
Yep.
out, yeah.
It's just jealousy of not having hair.
Yeah.
All right, those wooden Shadowrun coasters are going to go to Glenn Morrison. So congratulations, Glenn Morrison. You're going to get some of that stuff. That's really awesome. They are what they sound like. They're nice-looking wooden coasters with the Shadowrun logo on them. I think I was given a picture of them, but I don't know where it is. I might be able to... No, let's get the other stuff real fast. Shadowrun Sprawl Ops board game is going to... Rem Alternis. I don't know if that's Sarah Krause who donated under that name.
Sarah Krause.
Well, I don't know if it's her or someone else who donated under that name, but because she works with other people. But I will get in touch with them. There you go. That's the Shadowrun Sprawl Ops board game. And then finally, the Shadowrun 6th edition beginner box set unopened is going to Bokuwa Potato. That's a funny name. So there you go. You got the beginner box set.
Woo!
Hey!
Yeah. Oh, if I love that we are able to give away so much stuff every year, and
It's my favorite part.
it really is cool. Remember the first year when we wanted to give away a bunch of stuff, and so I just gave away a bunch of my original GM screen drawings.
Cliff just looked over at his bookshelf and was like, "Oh, I got a bunch of shit on there." So
I gave away a bunch of my Shadowrun hard copies.
Yeah. We've come a long way since the beginning of the Shadowcasters Network. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Trav is right. We are less than 2 minutes away from the end. If you want to get your last minute, if you want Mr. Johnson to make booty horn, then
We got to drop about $1,400.
yeah,
in there.
then we need $1,400 quick.
how much is booty horn worth to you?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, at this point, I think it's got to get made. But
Don't
right.
don't
Yeah.
say that. We still have a minute to get people to give us $1,400. Oh man.
Fair. Yeah, booty
You
horn.
got the half
I
thing.
think This track.
Bonus track.
What's that?
Anything that you do. Booty horn.
Yeah. Do you have 1 minute left? So this has been fun. I'm going to say.
Wow, I was really convinced.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I've only slept about an hour to an hour and a half of that, so it's by far the worst year in terms of me actually taking care of myself during the Stream-A-Thon. That's part of why I look like crap.
Hey, I only got like little or naps here and there. It was oof.
Oh man, yeah.
You know what? It has been fun, and yeah, and we had a couple of like trip ups and stuff, and panic attacks.
Yeah, literally during paranoia towards the end, I was notified that 2 people were not going to be able to make the Clue game, and I had to deal with that. It's now 36 hours. We made it! Woo! Oh my goodness. We have done it. We've made $4,610 on our Shadowcasters Stream-A-Thon. Well, during the summer fundraiser 2019, we did good. Hard cut. No, we're not. I'm not gonna run. I mean, you know, whatever.
Hey, besides, do we still have anything to give away?
I don't think we do.
How many copies of the Sprawl did you give away?
How many are we giving away? I thought you just. I didn't know.
3.
3 of them. Okay, well then, yeah, we have more stuff to give away.
More Sprawl.
2 more things. 2 more of the Sprawls. Let's see. What do we got? The next person will be. Oh, you guessed it. It's Thomas Cool.
Hey.
Yeah, I won a PDF copy of The Sprawl, so that's really cool. And the other one is going to go to. Let's find out. Oh. Matt Smith. Matt Smith. You guys know Matt Smith. Radio Free Suppless is going to get a copy of The Sprawl.
Don't give anything to that fucking guy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about re-rolling.
I missed you.
I missed you too, Cliff.
Yeah. Matt's a great guy. So, that's it. We did it. Here we are. Oh, hey, that's me. See, here he is, Radio Free Suppless. You won more than one thing, Matt. I don't know if you were here for everything. Let's see. You also won. There's something else up here. A leather Shadowrun dice bag. I have that you won. The reason I said not sure is because there are some things that we have yet to confirm, like we thought we had confirmed. So there may be 3, 4, 5 more things that I do end up drawing for, and I'll notify people who win some things. But I don't want to say what they are because I can't say for sure that we're going to be able to give them away. We thought we were going to be able to, but it's not 100% sure. Yes.
That the snake make an appearance at Gen Con, so I will make sure to pack it. I was actually I was going to, after this was all done, I was going to give this as a toy for my new doggy.
Yeah.
Now he is an official member of the Shadowcasters network.
He's went through things, man.
Yeah.
Everyone meet. Yeah, he's gone through
in particular.
Things. Everyone meet
in particular, Oz's legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. What else? What was I gonna? What is happening here? I was gonna say something, and now I can't remember. Oh, I was gonna say that I've said to these guys that every year, the best night of sleep of the year is what I'm about to get right now, which is right after the Stream-A-Thon, because for obvious reasons, I'm exhausted right now I haven't slept in almost 36 hours at all,
Yeah.
and really before that because I woke up before the.
So
6:30.
Bobby, I want to point something out here that,
Yeah.
that out of all of us, you're probably the one who's running the least amount of sleep.
Yeah.
So if any of us just log off, we're gonna look like a heel. So we don't get to go to bed until
You're all
wind us
waiting
up
for
and
me
let us
to
go.
stop talking, is what you're saying. Yeah. So
That's what I'm getting around, and I'm just
yeah,
giving you.
Yeah, I know you are. The house is
Well,
empty.
Not entirely.
The
I was
house.
about to say. I was about to say we have a personal question, but did Stephanie pack the kids up and get the fuck out of there?
That's what she does that every year. She says, "I am not going to be here while you do this to yourself," and she takes the kids and she goes down to her parents' house for the weekend. So nobody's in the house. I get to sleep in. So I'm really excited about that. So yes, I'm gonna go get like a bowl of cereal, and then go to bed. Thank you guys so much for being here. There are a ton of you who hung out with us like for most of these 36 hours. So
yeah, like I've noticed some names here that have been here every time I was here. So
yeah.
And thank you, Bobby, for all the work you put into this, and Oz, and everybody else, but especially Bobby and Oz. I mean, like, I showed up and ran stuff, but I didn't have to run anything on Twitch or set up overlays or deal with any of that crap. I just got to do fun stuff. You guys were involved in the actual work.
Yeah, they're champions.
Yeah, thank you
So-
very much. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Johnson canceled, or not canceled, but turned down DJ gigs to be here. So thank you. It's we appreciate.
Yeah, though I did end up doing one of them, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit busy time for weddings, I guess. So yeah, they were trying to
I
talk
missed you
into
at the
taking it for everyone.
GM's panel, though. And we missed you at the GM's panel.
I caught the
Man,
end
I
of
wish we
that.
could-
I would have wanted to be on that, but oh well. You had some really great perspectives on
We did
what I
not
heard.
need any more people. I was so tired. I'm surprised that I didn't get more ornery than I was getting. Everybody just kept talking and talking, and I'm like, well, I'm looking at my watch. We were supposed to stop like 30 minutes ago. Is anybody going to stop talking? No, I knew that would happen. So anyway, okay, let's get out of here,
The yawning
guys.
is happening.
Yeah.
My body
Yeah,
is
night.
recognizing I can sleep.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you guys one last time. You might not hear from me for a couple of days.
Another Stream-A-Thon down.
Yes, exactly. Number 3, third annual. All right. Love everybody, and goodbye and good night.
Bye.
Bye, chummers.